Chapter 1. Yanhuang Star, Yangzhou District, Tianshui City, Baisha District, Tianshui City 95th High School, Class 36. A boy in white clothes was sitting in the last position, looking at the history book of Yanhuang Star with blank eyes, muttering to himself, "Am I Xiaping, an earthling or a Yanhuang Star? Am I really dreaming?" Speaking of this, his eyes showed confusion. Xiaping was originally an ordinary student of Yanhuang Star. No different from others, but just 3 days ago, suddenly a purple lightning struck from the sky, and he fainted on the spot. When he woke up, he was shocked to find that there was a strange and familiar memory in his mind. In this memory, he seemed to be a Wuxia person on Earth. From birth, school, reading, love, work, marriage, and children, he experienced more than 30 years of life, and finally died because of a car accident. And in these 3 days, the memory of Yanhuang Star and the memory of the Earth collided and merged with each other, which caused Xiaping to have a splitting headache and a confused expression. He couldn't tell where he was, and even in class he was in a trance. However, this memory fusion is not without benefits, and the pain is not in vain. This makes his brain a lot more flexible, and his memory has become very strong. He can understand many things when he thinks about it, and it is no longer as laborious as before. Did you hear that? 5 months, you only have 5 months. A young woman stood on the podium of the classroom, wearing a women's suit, outlining her perfect figure, and the arc above was extremely amazing. Her face was beautiful, and she wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses on her white and tender face, showing her intellectual charm. She was definitely a beautiful royal sister, and countless men were infatuated with her. She is Xiaping's class teacher, Qiuxue, known as Sister Qiu, and has an unfathomable martial arts cultivation base. 5 months later, it will be the time for the college entrance examination, which will determine the watershed of your life. Qiuxue, the class teacher, held the podium with both hands, looking at the students below with a pair of beautiful eyes, full of spirit. Are you working hard to get into a university or graduate to work? You must consider these things now. I will send out the next questionnaire and write down your future life plan. Don't write randomly, understand? Teacher, I only have the cultivation base of the third heaven of martial disciple. Is it difficult to get into a university with such a result? A female student stood up and asked. This result is very ordinary. Qiuxue, the homeroom teacher, nodded. It's impossible to get into a top-tier university, but you can try to get into a third-tier university. Of course, if you want to start working immediately and earn money to support your family, it's also possible. Because there is a huge shortage of workers in society, you can choose to work in a company. While you work, you can earn a lot of money and buy all sorts of monster meat. You can take all sorts of spirit medicine and slowly increase your martial arts cultivation. In the future, you might even become a real martial artist. Your monthly income will be more than 10,000, and you won't have to worry about anything. If Xiaping were an earthling, he would definitely be confused by the conversation between these two people. However, he had his own memories of Yanhuang Planet. He naturally knew that Yanhuang Planet was completely different from Earth, because it was a world where martial arts and technology were extremely prosperous. Originally, there was no difference between Yanhuang Star and Earth. It was just that its area was larger, about 100 times that of Earth, and it was surrounded by hundreds of countries. From the slave era to the feudal era, and then to the capitalist era of modern society, science and technology developed rapidly, and martial arts were neglected. But the change happened 1,000 years ago. A black hole suddenly appeared over the calm Yanhuang Planet, and strange black gas ejected from it, covering the entire Yanhuang Planet in an instant. That strange black gas contains a terrible virus. Until now, no one knows what the principle of the virus is, but there is no doubt that it is extremely terrifying. Xiaping looked at the history book. The entire Yanhuang Planet fell into a huge disaster overnight. 50% of the population died, and all humans with weak physiques died. Even because of this virus, the animals and plants on Yanhuang Planet mutated crazily, becoming incomparably powerful, invulnerable, and difficult to be injured by guns and cannons. It was difficult to kill them even with missiles. Moreover, these monsters were irrational, bloodthirsty, and cruel. Countless humans died tragically in the hands of these monsters, and the population suddenly decreased by 40%. This was known as the Cataclysm era. But if this was the case, Xiaoping wouldn't have been born. Although these viruses were terrifying and made those animals evolve crazily, they also brought great benefits to the humans on Yanhuang planet. One by one their bodies evolved. At the same time, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions often occurred on Yanhuang planet, and many superancient ruins appeared. From these superancient ruins, humans discovered some martial arts techniques passed down from ancient times. These martial arts techniques could actually make humans more powerful and evolve. 100 Steps Divine Fist, killing people by plucking leaves, walking in the void, fighting 100 enemies, splitting mountains and cracking stones, punching mountains and rivers, changing the world, and so on became a reality. Even if humans did not rely on weapons, they could fight against those terrifying monsters alone and become superhumans. Moreover, some superancient ruins not only contain powerful and complete martial arts techniques, but also extremely advanced technology. These things were digested and absorbed by humans at once, and their strength greatly increased. With the technology and martial arts techniques from the ruins, the strength of humans greatly increased. They began to fight back against those mutated monsters and conquered human cities. After hundreds of years, they finally became the overlord of Yanhuang planet again, ruling the entire planet. At the same time, the country was unified, and a federal government was established, divided into 9 major regions. Xiaoping flipped through the history book. 500 years ago, when humans no longer had to worry about survival on Yanhuang planet, the federal government began to send countless human experts to explore the black hole to find out the source of the cataclysm. However, they did not find the cause of the cataclysm. Instead, they found a vast world on the other side of the black hole. Humans named it the Heavenly Realm. The area of that world is many times larger than Yanhuang planet, and the spiritual energy is many times denser. There are countless treasures of heaven and earth, and it is very suitable for human survival. It is simply a paradise of human dreams. With a large number of resources in the Heavenly Realm, the technology of Yanhuang planet has developed rapidly. Today, 500 years later, it has become a world of martial arts and technology. Everyone is a martial arts expert, and martial arts are respected. The same was true of the school where Xiaoping studied. Almost every student on Yanhuang planet had the obligation to cultivate, and it even became part of the exam. If one was not strong enough, they would not be able to go to university at all, and even survival would be difficult. Now, he was in his 3rd year of high school and was facing the college entrance examination. Being able to get into a good university was of great significance to any student. It meant better resources, better cultivation techniques, and even a better life. After reading this history, Xiaoping's eyes immediately became firm. Forget it, it's useless to think so much. Whether I am the Xiaoping on Earth or the Xiaoping on Yanhuang planet, in short, I am unique in the world. No matter which world I live in, I want to live a wonderful life. After thinking of this, he felt that the symptoms of his head pain seemed to have completely disappeared, and there was no longer any obstruction. The memory that suddenly awakened and the current memory were no longer separated and completely merged together. At this moment, a metal voice sounded in his mind without any emotion. Ding, the soul fusion is complete. The super hatred system is bound to the host. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. Super hatred system. He hadn't recovered from the fusion of another person's memory, and now there was a strange system. What was this? Host. This system specializes in attracting hatred. As long as the host can get hatred, you can exchange it for elixirs, treasures of heaven and earth, and even peerless techniques in the system's shop. Xiaoping asked, "What is this hatred?" The so-called hatred is the negative emotions of living beings. As long as the host can cause the negative emotions of other living beings, you can get hatred. The more the other party hates the host, the stronger the strength, the more hatred the host can get. The hatred level is also divided into ridicule, hate, disgust, killing intent, and so on. Pulling hatred. Xiaoping was speechless. Why does this system feel like a pit? If he pulls hatred everywhere, then wouldn't he become the target of public criticism, or even a street rat, and everyone would curse him? At that time, I am afraid he will be worse than the traitor Qin Hui. And this hatred can be exchanged for treasures of heaven and earth, cultivation techniques, and secret manuals. Is this true or false? He has never seen the real thing, and he can't believe the voice that suddenly appeared in his mind. If you want to go to college, it doesn't matter if you want to graduate and go out to work. This is your life. I can't help you choose, but I want to say one thing, that is, when you make a decision you must never regret it. Go straight forward. At this time Joshua, the head teacher on the podium, asked the female student to sit down, and then she shouted loudly, pouring chicken soup for the soul. Yes, teacher. A group of students shouted. Joshua frowned because she found that a student in the class seemed to be absent-minded. This person was Xia Ping. She asked, Xia Ping, you stand up and tell me. What are your plans for the future? Plan. Xia Ping immediately knew that his absent-mindedness must have caught the teacher's attention. This head teacher is a new teacher. He has only been working for half a year. He is not a veteran who has been teaching for decades. He is usually very responsible and often supervises students who are not serious in class. Originally, he wanted to just casually say that he wanted to go to a third-rate university, but he thought about it in a blink of an eye. Why not take this opportunity to test if this super hatred system is real? Thinking of this, Xia Ping stood up and immediately said, I want to apply for Yanhuang University. Huh? All the students in the class, including the head teacher Joshua, were dumbfounded. What is Yanhuang University? It is the best university on the entire Yanhuang planet. It was founded by countless human martyrs. It has produced many martial arts powerhouses. Yanhuang University graduates are from all walks of life. Some are company presidents, some serve as army generals, marshals, etc. There are even more than a dozen federal presidents. It can be said that everyone who can enter Yanhuang University is the pride of humanity. In the entire 95th high school, there are no more than 5 students who are qualified to apply for Yanhuang University. Every year, there may not be one who can be admitted to Yanhuang University. If one can be admitted, the whole school will have to hang banners, celebrate for 3 days and 3 nights, send messages to inform every parent, and even every student will receive a chicken leg. And Xia Ping is just an ordinary student. With the cultivation base of the 3rd heavenly layer, it would be hard for him to be admitted to a third-rate university, let alone to be admitted to Yanhuang University. Now this kid actually dares to say that he wants to apply for Yanhuang University. Isn't he crazy? Xia Ping, are you serious? Because Xia Ping's answer was too scary, the head teacher Joshua did not continue to blame him for not taking the class seriously, but felt a little confused. Xia Ping nodded and said, Yes, in 5 months, I want to be admitted to Yanhuang University, become a martial arts powerhouse, have an annual income of more than 100 million, marry a rich and beautiful woman, and go to the peak of life. Peak your brother-in-law with your martial arts cultivation base. It's hard to be admitted to a third-rate university, and you want to be admitted to Yanhuang University. Don't be too overconfident. You have to know where your limits are. If you don't study well, you want to make big news all day long. Do you know that you are putting the cart before the horse? Everyone is a bit too much. As a salted fish, you still need some ideals. Maybe you can really make a comeback. A group of students despised Xia Ping. Xia Ping was unmoved. Looking at one of the students who took the lead in mocking him, he said, Yang Wei, you can't do it. It doesn't mean that others can't do it. But some men are born incompetent and there is no medicine to save them. Xia Ping. Student Yang Wei's nose was crooked and he glared at Xia Ping. Even if he thought with his knee, he knew that this guy was definitely mocking him, laughing at his name and saying that he was impotent. Usually, his nickname is basically a taboo and no one dares to call him like this, but this Xia Ping actually dared to say these words in front of the whole class. It's too hateful. Aha, there's actually someone called Yang Wei. What does your dad think? A fat man in the corner laughed. He and Yang Wei had some contradictions. Now that he saw the other party make a fool of himself, he didn't hurry to hit him. Gaowan, what are you laughing at? Aren't you the same? Xia Ping said lazily. What the hell? Fatty Gaowan's face turned green. He stood up with a bang and glared at Xia Ping angrily, as if he wanted to eat this guy alive. The other students' faces were strange. Usually Xia Ping was just an ordinary student in the class. His grades were not good or bad and he was not outstanding. He had no sense of existence at all. Why did he seem to kill people today? He was too tough. Yang Wei was a little confused. It seemed that this guy was not specifically targeting him, but he ate gunpowder today and sprayed at everyone he saw. Enough! Choshu, the head teacher, couldn't stand it anymore. She glared at Xiaoping with her beautiful eyes and criticized. Xiaoping, what the hell is wrong with you? How can you give other students nicknames? You can't just say what others look like. Xiaoping nodded and said, Teacher is right, I have to reflect on it. Wow, you bully people, I am not that kind of person, absolutely not. Hearing the homeroom teacher's words, Yang Wei's face turned green. He immediately broke down and burst into tears. He was like a girl who was being bullied. He stuck out his butt and kicked the stool away. Then he left the classroom in tears. Qiushu, the head teacher, blushed and seemed to know that she had said something wrong. She wanted to call Yang Wei back, but the other party ran too fast and left the classroom at once. She couldn't stop him. Xiaoping. She glared at Xiaoping angrily. It's the bastard's fault that this happened. Xiaoping spread his hands. He felt very innocent. I didn't expect his psychological quality to be so bad. Get out immediately and reflect on it for me. Qiushu, the head teacher, said angrily, pointing to Xiaoping. Chapter 2. On the roof of the teaching building. It was still 10 o'clock in the morning, and the students were in class. There was no one on the roof, and Xiaoping took advantage of being driven out of the classroom by the head teacher, Qiushu, to go to the roof to study the sudden appearance of the super hatred system. System, come out immediately. Xiaoping thought. Didn't you say that I can get hatred? How much hatred did I get? Just now, he tried a little bit and showed a little of his previous life's taunting ability. He didn't expect the effect to be off the charts. He suddenly became the public enemy of the whole class, and even made a classmate cry. If this move has no effect, then he will simply become a hateful person. Host, this time you got a total of 120 hatred points. A cold system voice came out of his mind. First time activating the system. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the mysterious cultivation method, Pure Yang Immortal Art, in the system gift pack. Mysterious cultivation method, Pure Yang Immortal Art? What is this? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. The system's voice had no emotion. Do you accept the system gift pack? Accept. Xiaoping instinctively chose to accept. Rumble at this moment. A huge amount of information was immediately instilled into Xiaoping's mind like a tide, and he felt that his soul seemed to be pulled into a space of nothingness. And in this space a white figure seemed to appear. This figure sat cross-legged, and golden meridians appeared in his body, clearly showing the mystery of how this mysterious cultivation method worked. No way, this Pure Yang Immortal Art is actually a top martial arts cultivation method. How is this possible? Xiaoping couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. Even in Yanhuang Star, where martial arts are flourishing, top-notch martial arts cultivation techniques are extremely rare. Only those top martial arts families or the libraries of super first-class universities can learn them. Ordinary people can only practice the basic breathing and breathing techniques issued by the Federation. It is very difficult for them to absorb the pitiful spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The reason why the gap is so big is that the efficiency of basic breathing cultivation method to absorb spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extremely low, far less than the top martial arts cultivation method. If the efficiency of basic breathing cultivation method is 1, then the top cultivation method may be 100, or even 1000. The gap is extremely huge. For people with the same talent, if they cultivated different martial arts cultivation methods, the gap would be huge over time. From this, one could see how precious top martial arts cultivation methods were. Is this top-notch martial arts technique real or fake? Xiaoping couldn't help but be a little suspicious because according to the introduction of the Pure Yang Immortal Art, when circulating the art, it would transform into the universe, devour the essence of the sun and the sky, smelt the body, fuse it into the physique, burn the body, and forge an eternal and indestructible body. Just thinking about it was frightening. The essence of the sun was such a terrifying thing. Ordinary martial arts experts would immediately turn into a fireball and burn into ashes after absorbing a little of it. Not even dregs would be left. Even an extremely powerful martial Dao grandmaster would not dare to touch the sun's essence casually. However, this cultivation technique devoured the sun's essence from the very beginning to strengthen one's body. If it was true, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was a top-notch cultivation technique. Although Xiaoping was a little doubtful, his eyes quickly became firm. This is a chance. Whether it's real or fake, we'll know once we give it a try. In any case, if there's any danger, we'll immediately stop cultivating. With that thought in mind, he sat down with his legs crossed and began to cultivate according to the information from the system. Boom! With the system's installation, Xiaoping seemed to have cultivated this cultivation technique tens of thousands of times. He was incomparably familiar with it. In an instant, he entered a meditative state. His whole body became one with nature, and his mind was in an ethereal state. As he cultivated, his body seemed to have turned into a black hole. The sun's essence that fell from the sky turned into fireballs and entered his pores, flowing through his meridians. If an outsider saw the way Xiaoping cultivated, they would definitely be scared half to death. Because with Xiaoping as the center, the area 10 meters around him had turned into a black hole. Any sunlight that approached this area was absorbed by his body. Even the wind had stopped. It was as if time had stopped in this space. Just like that, 2 hours had passed. Boom! Xiaoping's body shook. He opened his mouth and spat out a terrifying rotating air current. Like a sharp arrow, it tore through the air and bombarded the marble wall in front of the building with a bang. With a click, the marble wall was pierced with a fist-sized hole, and a ray of sunlight shone in from the outside. If it was on Earth, this breath would be enough to penetrate the body of an ordinary person. Could definitely be called a breath kill. He opened his eyes and immediately emitted a golden light, as if there were two flames spinning in his pupils, flashing a dazzling light until it was extinguished for a long time. The fourth heavenly layer of martial arts. Just the first time I cultivated this cultivation technique, it actually helped me break through a meridian and promote to the fourth heavenly layer of martial arts. It's worthy of being a top cultivation technique. It's too powerful, Xiaoping said with emotion. He had worked hard for 18 years and only raised his cultivation to the third heavenly layer of martial arts. However, after cultivating this pure young immortal art, he was promoted to the fourth heavenly layer of martial arts in 2 hours. This result, even in the class, can be regarded as above the average level out of the ordinary category. From this, it can be seen how amazing the pure young immortal art is. It doesn't seem to be as simple as breaking through the realm of martial arts. Xiaoping stood up, stood firm, twisted his waist and punched. A powerful force passed from his legs, waist, arms, and then to his fist inch by inch. With a bang, his fist slammed into the marble wall in front of him, as easy as piercing through tofu. Immediately, a 7 or 8 centimeter deep fist mark appeared on the wall, and the gravel fell down. What a powerful physical strength! Xiaoping clenched his fists and his thoughts surged. One must know that he didn't use the true qi in his body just now, just relying on his physical strength, but a punch could easily penetrate the wall, and his fist was unscathed. And this is still his first time cultivating. If his cultivation gradually deepens in the future, how terrifying will he be? It's not an exaggeration to call him a Superman on Earth. Of course, compared with those martial arts grandmasters who can punch the earth and walk in the void, he doesn't know how far away he is. Grumble at this time, Xiaoping's stomach made a drumming sound. He had cultivated for 2 hours, and he hadn't eaten anything since morning, so he was indeed hungry. Let's go to the cafeteria to eat. Xiaoping walked down to the top of the building. It was also lunchtime. Because Tianshui City 95th High School is from 7 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they can't go home in the middle, most students will eat in the school cafeteria. Of course, some students choose to bring their own food to school to eat. Xiaoping came to the cafeteria, spent 5 or 6 federal coins, bought 2 dishes, asked for a white rice, and found an empty seat to sit down, wanting to eat happily. Xiaoping. At this time a familiar voice came over. Xiaoping looked up and saw that it was Yang Wei. He was looking at Xiaoping with a sad face, a little gnashing of teeth. Chapter 3. Oh, it's Yang Wei. What a coincidence. You also came to the cafeteria for dinner. Xiaoping greeted Yang Wei. Yang Wei gritted his teeth and said, "This is not a coincidence. I came specifically to find you." Specifically to find me? What for? Xiaoping blinked his pure eyes. What for? Seeing that this guy acted as if nothing had happened, Yang Wei's nose was crooked. He said angrily, "Don't play dumb with me. Don't think that I will forget what happened in class." He glared at Tang Tian. He simply wanted to eat this guy alive. It was because of this shameless bastard's nickname that caused him to receive strange looks from other students when he returned to class. This feeling was extremely uncomfortable. It was as if he had become a rare animal. Hearing the whispers of the students around him, he felt that they were laughing at him. Therefore he hated Xiaoping even more. If he did not beat this bastard up, it would be difficult to dispel the hatred in his heart. What happened in class today? Xiaoping seemed to remember. So that's how it is. You want to apologize to me? Actually, you don't have to be so polite. I didn't take that matter to heart. He waved his hand and showed a very generous look. Who's here to apologize to you? Don't even think about it. Yang Wei was so angry that smoke came out of his nostrils. This guy mocked him and gave him a nickname. It made him suffer great humiliation and was ridiculed by his classmates. He hadn't even asked this guy to apologize to him. This bastard actually thought that he wanted to apologize to him. There should be a limit to this kid's arrogance. If not to apologize, then what are you doing here? Don't tell me you want to treat me to a meal? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. Bullshit. Who would want to treat a shameless person like you to a meal? Even if he fed food to a dog, he would not treat a bastard like you. Yang Wei was so angry that he couldn't speak. He had no idea how to communicate with this bastard. Shut up. At this time, a young man who was 2 meters tall and as strong as a black bear walked out. He was like a small mountain, giving people a fatal sense of oppression. He stared at Xiaoping and sneered. Do you think you can cover up your mistakes by talking about them? Your academic performance is not good, but you have learned to be eloquent. Didn't your parents teach you manners? Casually giving people nicknames and humiliating your classmates in class, is this how you've been taught? His words were vicious. In my 18 years of life, my parents only taught me one thing, and that is an eye for an eye. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and stared at the 2-meter-tall man. The burly man clenched his fists and cracked them loudly, revealing his ferocious white teeth. Interesting. You actually dared to return the favor. You've got guts. But I don't know if you have the ability to do so. The way we martial artists resolve conflicts is very simple, and that is to fight. The strong are respected. You and I will go to the Flying Dragon Experience place to fight. As long as you defeat me, this matter will be written off, and we will not trouble you again. What do you think? Fight! Xiaoping's eyes flashed. Because of the prosperity of martial arts in this world, every student knows martial arts, and young students are all hot-blooded. If they don't agree, they will start fighting, leading to serious conflicts in the school. In order to solve this matter, the school set up the Flying Dragon Experience place to let students who have conflicts fight openly and vent their anger. Of course, some students will also go to the Flying Dragon Experience place to learn from each other. Because of this, private fights are not allowed by the school and strictly prohibited. Once discovered, regardless of identity, they will immediately be expelled from the school. Therefore, the burly man did not dare to find trouble with Xiaoping openly. He could only invite him to the Flying Dragon Experience place to compete. And the matter of a group of people looking for trouble with Xiaoping was soon discovered by the surrounding students, and they all looked over here. Look, someone wants to fight in the Flying Dragon Experience place. There's a good show to watch. Isn't that 2-meter-tall burly man Xiong Batian? Someone is actually looking for trouble with him. That person is really unlucky. Xiong Batian, the one in the 6th class of the 3rd year, nicknamed Black Bear, who has innate divine power and punches out with a force of over 1,000 pounds. His cultivation base has reached the 5th heavenly layer of martial arts. Yes, it's that Black Bear. When he gets angry, no one can match him. There were several students who had conflicts with him and went to the Flying Dragon Experience place. As a result, 5 or 6 ribs were broken, and they couldn't take care of themselves for a whole month. Yes, I also heard about this. It is said that there was a student who left a psychological shadow and dropped out of school because of this. It's really terrifying. That kid was targeted by Xiong Batian. He really had 3 lifetimes of blood luck. Many students were talking and looking at Xiaoping's expression. They all had a look of schadenfreude. What's wrong? Are you afraid? Xiong Batian squeezed his fist and stared at Xiaoping with a smile. If you kneel down and beg for mercy now and pass through my crotch, It's not that I can't forgive you once. Of course it's only once. If you are still not convinced, I will beat you up every time I see you. I will beat you until you can't take care of yourself for 3 months. Afraid? Xiaoping smiled. Would I be afraid of a blockhead like you? Blockhead? The surrounding students were stunned. Even Yang Wei was stunned. Does this guy know what he is talking about? Xiong Badian is a martial artist at the 5th heavenly layer. He has innate divine power and his martial strength is a mess. But this bastard actually dared to say that Xiong Badian is just a blockhead. Is this kid crazy? Xiaoping. Xiong Badian was so angry that his nostrils were smoking and his eyes were red. No one had ever dared to call him a blockhead, not a single one. If there really was, he would have sent him to the hospital for emergency treatment. But this kid actually dared to say that. He is simply reckless. It's not a big deal to promise you to go to the Flying Dragon experience place, but the person in charge is Yang Wei. Will he agree? Xiaoping said lightly. Yang Wei immediately said, I promise as long as you promise Big Brother Xiong. Then this matter will be written off, and we will never come to trouble you again. For this kind of thing he couldn't ask for more. This shameless bastard should go to the Flying Dragon experience place and be taught a good lesson. In short, the more miserable this guy is, the better, so he will be satisfied. Although he didn't do it himself, this can be regarded as revenge for him. Okay, I promise. When is the time? Xiaoping asked. He didn't care much about this matter. It seems that if he wants to get benefits from the super hatred system, he needs hatred. And these hatred points can only be obtained from the enemy. Of course, the more opportunities to erect a large number of enemies like this, the better, so that he can get a lot of hatred points. Very good. Xiong Badian stared at Xiaoping. Let's set it at 4:30 in the afternoon, just half an hour after school. I hope you don't run at that time, otherwise I will be very angry, and the consequences will be very serious. Chapter 4. Seeing Xiong Badian and the others leave quickly, the onlookers also left, but this matter quickly spread to all parts of the school, especially to Xiaoping's class, class 36. Basically everyone knew about it. After all, the person involved was a member of their class, so it was impossible not to pay attention to it. However, Xiaoping's expression was very indifferent. After eating in the cafeteria, he went up to the roof of the teaching building again. There was still more than half an hour before the afternoon class, and he wanted to continue to study the super hatred system. System, you said before that hatred points can be exchanged for things. How do I exchange them? Xiaoping asked. With a ding, a virtual panel suddenly appeared in his mind. A shop appeared on it listing weapons, pills, martial arts cultivation methods, martial arts skills, etc. As if it was an online shop that could buy anything. Host, as long as the host has enough hatred points, you can buy the things above. The voice of the system came over. Xiaoping touched his chin. I can buy anything? With a move of his mind, he immediately clicked on the martial arts cultivation method column. And suddenly a page popped up. Immediately, a series of martial arts cultivation methods were listed on it. Great Emperor Scripture, Grade God Tier, price 10 billion hatred points. Void Scripture, Grade God Tier, price 10 billion hatred points. Swallowing Star Art, Grade God Tier, price 10 billion hatred points. Devil Hell Dark Embryo Scripture, Grade God Tier, price 9 billion hatred points. Yin Yang Life and Death Secret Art, Grade God Tier, price 8 billion hatred points. Seeing the price above, Xiaoping was dumbfounded. How could he afford to buy tens of billions of hatred points? He looked at the hatred points he held. It was only 120. I'm afraid he couldn't even afford a strand of leg hair. Forget it, I already have the pure Yang Immortal Art. It's useless to look at martial arts cultivation methods. It's better to look at martial arts skills. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. Martial arts cultivation methods were the foundation. They could temper the body, absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and evolve the human body into a Superman. But martial arts skills were supreme skills that could exert great power. The more powerful the martial arts skill, the more terrifying it was. For example, some martial arts skills could only exert 100 gene of strength and 100 gene of destructive power, but a brilliant martial arts skill could make 100 gene of strength and exert thousands of gene of destructive power. This was the difference between martial arts skills. Of course, the more powerful a martial skill was, the more difficult it was to successfully cultivate it. Thinking of this, he clicked on the martial skills column with his mind. Another page popped up, listing countless mysterious and powerful martial skills manuals. Great Desolate Imprisoning Heavenly Seal, Grade God Level, Price 10 billion Hatred Points. 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist, Grade God Level, Price 10 billion Hatred Points. Immortal Slaying Sword Technique, Grade God Level, Price 9 billion Hatred Points. 8 Desolation 6 Closed Palm, Grade God Level, Price 8 billion Hatred Points. Void Shifting Step, Grade God Level, Price 5 billion Hatred Points. Xia Ping was speechless. When he saw the name of this martial arts technique, he knew how powerful it was, but these could only be seen and not touched. Billions of hatred points could easily be obtained, even if he killed him. And he worked hard to set up a map cannon and taunt the whole class, but he only got 120 hate points. If he wanted to get billions of hate points, how long would it take? Don't worry, host. The system seems to perceive Xia Ping's thoughts. As long as the host continues to work hard and accumulates over time, I believe that it will not be difficult to obtain tens of billions of hatred points. At that time, you can buy all treasures in the mall at will. Nonsense. That's easy to say. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Not to mention how long it takes to get 10 billion hatred points, just the matter of getting hatred points is very deceptive. Just 120 hatred points made him the public enemy of the whole class, and even attracted Yang Wei's revenge. If he gets 10 billion hatred points, how many enemies will he provoke? He calculated carefully in his heart. If he wants to get 10 billion hatred points, it is estimated that everyone in Yanhuang Star hates him. At that time, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is the enemy of the whole world. When he thought that the whole planet was his enemy, a group of enemies clamored to find him for revenge, to kill his family. He felt a little headache. Forget it, I don't have to pay so much attention to it for the time being. Xia Ping thought in a blink of an eye. In fact, I don't need 10 billion hatred points. As long as I can exchange for what I need, it is completely enough. If it is just ordinary goods, then offending them is not a big deal at all. Although this system is very dangerous, the side effects are great, and it often provokes enemies, but if used well, it can also help him rise and peak at the peak of martial arts. Although the host can't afford such expensive goods for the time being, there are also some cheap goods in the mall, which should meet the host's requirements for the time being. The system said. After listening, Xia Ping immediately said, "List the martial arts products from low to high." With a ding sound, the martial arts page was immediately changed, and some cheap martial arts appeared. The cheapest was 5 hatred points, such as basic boxing techniques, etc., which are all martial arts that can be seen everywhere. This 5 forms fist actually needs 100 hatred points. Why? Xia Ping immediately noticed one of the martial arts, called 5 forms fist. It is a powerful martial arts skill created by an ancient martial arts master who observed tigers, vipers, apes, cranes, tyrannosaurus, and other animals. It contains countless fighting skills and is powerful. It is also a compulsory course in school. Every student must learn it. It can be regarded as a basic martial arts skill, but it actually needs to sell 100 hatred points in the system mall, which is too exaggerated. Because the system sells martial arts skills, it is enlightenment, it is inheritance. The system said, ordinary martial arts skills need the host to comprehend by himself, practice hard, and be down to earth. But the martial arts skills taught by the system do not need to be like this. It instills the memory of martial arts skills in an instant, integrates into the host's body, and lets the host learn it in an instant, as if a martial arts master who has practiced for many years. The pure young immortal art was like this before. What? Xia Ping was shocked. If this was the case, then it was really worth the money. If he could learn it in an instant, it would be equivalent to saving 10 years of training, and the benefits would be unimaginable. I'll buy it, Xia Ping said immediately. The system said, yes, host. As soon as the voice fell, a huge warm current immediately poured into Xia Ping's mind, and immediately his soul seemed to be dragged into a white space, with nothing in it. His hands and feet seemed to be controlled by a mysterious force, and he immediately moved. Tiger, viper, ape, white crane, tyrannosaurus, and other postures were displayed one by one, and his body was like the wind. As if at this moment, he had transformed into a tiger, viper, ape, white crane, tyrannosaurus, and other fierce beasts, exuding a terrible beast aura, and his fists and feet moved at the same time. Bang bang bang. Immediately there was a sound of explosions in the air, and he punched out, as if he had made an air explosion, and the power was extremely terrifying. In this way he continued to cultivate in this white space, at least for decades, until the five forms fist was practiced to the extreme and reached the realm of perfection. With a snap the space shattered, and then his soul was pulled out and returned to the body again. Chapter 5. It was almost afternoon class time. Xiaping went down from the top of the building and walked towards the high school class. When he was about to approach the classroom, he was suddenly stopped by two people. He turned around and immediately saw that the two people who stopped him were both women. One was cute, 54 meters tall, wearing famous brands from head to toe, revealing a noble aura. It could be seen that her background was very superior. Xiaping recognized this woman. Her name was Liang Xiaoxue. She was a classmate of his. She was a real rich and beautiful woman. She never put the students in the class in her eyes and rarely talked to him. As for the other one, she had a cold and beautiful appearance. She was wearing a white shirt, and the curve of her upper body was very shocking. From the looks of it, she was at least a D cup. On the lower half of her body, she was wearing a pair of jeans, which showed off her slender legs. She was wearing white sneakers. Xiaping also knew her. She was the class leader of the high school class Zhang Yaru. She was the class flower. She had a high popularity in school. Her academic performance and martial arts talent were also excellent. She could be called a goddess and was pursued by countless people. At the same time, she and Xiaping had known each other since childhood. They were neighbors and childhood sweethearts. Xiaping, I heard that you plan to go to the Flying Dragon Experience place with Xiong Badian? Zhang Yaru looked at Xiaping. Xiaping nodded, yes. Why did you agree to go to the Flying Dragon Experience place with Xiong Badian? Zhang Yaru stared into Xiaping's eyes, her face very serious. Do you know that Xiong Badian is not a person to be trifled with? He has the cultivation of the fifth heavenly layer and is born with divine strength. It is said that he also cultivates the intermediate martial skill Thunder Tyrant Bare Fist. His combat power is so strong that even a sixth heavenly layer martial artist can tie with him. You are only at the third heavenly layer of martial disciple. Do you want to be abused by the other party? Hurry up and surrender. Give up on this stupid duel. You don't understand, Xiaping said. Zhang Yaru stared at Xiaping and said angrily, What do you mean I don't understand? You must have been influenced by others and foolishly agreed to this stupid duel. You clearly know that you can't be Xiong Baishan's opponent. If you go to the Flying Dragon Experience place, you will be beaten. Why do you still do this? Is it just for a breath? Even if you won't die in the Flying Dragon Experience place, if you are seriously injured by Xiong Badian, you will need to be sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. The medical fee will not be cheap. Do you want to increase the burden of uncle and aunt? She knew Xiaping's family background. He was just an ordinary person. A single medical expense was enough to break his bones. Men are like this. They clearly don't have the slightest ability and aren't a match for others, but they still try to show off. Such a person isn't handsome, it's stupid. Liang Xiaoxue looked at Xiaping with disdain. It was obvious that this kid had no ability at all, but he was still here to please the public. She hated this kind of man the most. She didn't know why her best friend cared about this kid. In any case, don't meddle in other people's business. I know what I'm doing. Xiaping waved his hand. He stepped over Zhang Yaru and headed for the classroom. How could Zhang Yaru know that he was no longer the same as before? He had obtained the pure yang immortal art, advanced to the fourth heavenly layer, and cultivated the five forms fist. His strength had greatly increased, enough to crush Xiong Badian. But why would he tell these things to others? He was afraid that even if he said it, the other party wouldn't believe it. It was better to prove everything with facts. Xiaping. Zhang Yaru stared at Xiaping's back, but he couldn't stop him. He was very angry. Liang Xiaoxue coldly snorted and said, Yaru, why do you care about this man? It's a waste of energy. When he suffers and is seriously injured by Xiong Badian and goes to the hospital for emergency treatment, he will know how wrong he is. But he's seriously injured. How can I explain to Auntie Huang? Zhang Yaru said in distress. Liang Xiaoxue waved her hand. What explanation? You've already dissuaded the other party. But the other party didn't listen. Could it be that the other party wants to commit suicide by jumping off a building? How can we stop the other party? Forget it, things have already come to this. There's no turning back. Jiang Yaru said helplessly. Because both sides had decided to go to the Flying Dragon platform, the whole school knew about it. Even if they wanted to regret it, it was too late. Okay, class is about to start. This is other people's business. Don't worry about it here. Hurry up and go in. Liang Xiaoxue pulled Jiang Yaru into the classroom. At this time, Xiaping also walked in. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, the eyes of the whole class were focused on Xiaping, full of curiosity, doubt, and confusion, because this kid promised to fight with Xiong Badian in the Flying Dragon platform. Who didn't know how savage Xiong Badian was in the academy? He was basically a little tyrant, tyrannical and valiant. Basically, no one dared to provoke him, but this guy provoked him and even wanted to fight him. Obviously, this guy was usually an ordinary student with ordinary grades. He didn't have a sense of existence in the class at all. Why did he suddenly do such an earth-shattering thing? Xiaping, I heard that you plan to fight Xiong Badian. Do you have a chance of winning? A male student asked. Gao Wan, who was next to him, was angry after being ridiculed by Xiaping before. He sneered and said, he is a top student who wants to be admitted to Yanhuang University. I don't know how strong his martial arts cultivation is. Xiong Badian is nothing. I'm afraid I can beat him with one hand. He looked at Xiaping with a teasing face. Everyone knew that he was being sarcastic. Hearing this, many students laughed and looked at Xiaping as if they were watching a joke. Okay, don't laugh at Xiaping. Yang Wei stood up and showed a good look. After all, he challenged Xiong Badian. This courage alone is worthy of respect. At least I don't have this kind of courage. I'm ashamed. The other students were even more sneering. You're not convinced? Xiaping squinted and looked at Gao Wan and Yang Wei. I'm convinced by your sister. Gao Wan jumped out. Don't overestimate yourself. You have to know your limits. You actually want to be admitted to Yanhuang University and defeat Xiong Badian. Who do you think you are? You are just an ordinary student in the third heaven of martial arts. It's hard for you to be admitted to a third-rate university. You're still daydreaming here. Wake up to me, salted fish will not turn over. Whether I can be admitted to Yanhuang University and defeat Xiong Badian or not, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. Xiaping waved his hand and ignored these people. Seeing that Xiaping was still so arrogant, Gao Wan was so angry. How could this guy be so annoying and also satirize him as a dog, too hateful? His eyes turned, revealing a smirk, and said, since you are so confident, do you dare to gamble with us? Gamble? Xiaping looked at him. Gao Wan said, yes, if you lose you have to run naked and run 3 laps around the school. If we lose we will also run naked and run 3 laps around the school. Do you have the guts to bet with us? Is there really no problem? I remember that your body is defective. If you take it off, others will mistake you for a girl. Xiaping looked at Yang Wei and Gao Wan suspiciously, feeling very worried. I lack your sister. Who the fuck is physically defective? We are not really impotent. That thing is not small enough for others to mistakenly think that there is no such thing. You bastard, don't spread some strange rumors here. Chapter 6. Yang Wei calmed down his excitement. He felt that if he continued to talk to this bastard like this, maybe his lungs would explode. He must cut the Gordian knot quickly. You don't have to worry about this. In short, do you agree to this bet or not? Yang Wei looked at Xiaping and pressed him step by step. Gao Wan also shouted, yes, aren't you full of confidence? What are you afraid of? It's not a problem to agree. I'm just afraid that you guys. Xiaping touched his chin. Yang Wei immediately interrupted Xiaping and said, don't be afraid, we have no problem at all. Let's sign the contract now so that no one can go back on their word. He clicked the chip watch on his hand, and with a beep a white barrage popped up. It was a virtual projection with a series of legal provisions listed on it. Xiaping knows that the laws on Yanhuang Star are completely different from the laws on the Earth. The bet here is also recognized by the law. If you dare to violate it, you will be punished by the law. If it's serious, you will even be arrested and sent to prison. If it's light, you will lose your credit, and it will be difficult to enter society in the future. If you want to get a bank loan, no one will care about you, and even people around you will stay away from you and be isolated. Of course, if this bet is too much, it will not be recognized by the law, such as killing people or something like that. Things like running naked in school are trivial and will naturally be recognized. Take out your student chip and let's sign the contract, Gao Wan urged. Xiaoping's student chip is installed on his mobile phone. This chip records his information from birth to the present, bank account, student status information, physical condition, etc. It can be said that this is the ID card on Yanhuang Star. He touched the student chips of Yang Wei and Gao Wan with his mobile phone and a contract popped up immediately. Then he entered his password and clicked confirm. Even if the contract is established, no one can go back on it. Okay, the contract is established. Gao Wan and Yang Wei looked at each other, revealing a smirk, very proud. Hey, they can see this kid's embarrassing appearance later. At that time, this guy will not only be beaten up by Xiong Badian, but he will also run naked in school and be laughed at by the whole school. He may even be regarded as a pervert by the police and arrested and sent to prison. Humph, this bastard has been despising our ability in that aspect and repeatedly ridiculing us, causing an extremely bad impact on our reputation. Yang Wei gritted his teeth. When the time comes, I'd like to see how awesome he is and if he's really that awesome. Gao Wan also has the same idea. He also plans to take a picture of the shameless Xiaoping's embarrassment and post it on the internet, so that this kid can make his global debut. This. In the distance, Zhang Yara was incomparably furious. Seeing Xiaoping sign a contract with the two of them, she almost went crazy. How could this bastard be so stupid as to agree to this kind of contract? Wasn't he clearly going to lose? Yara, don't worry. I think that bastard did it on purpose, Liang Xiaoxua said. Zhang Yara was stunned. On purpose? Could this be Xiaoping's scheme? That's right. I've done some research on the internet. Some perverted men have a special fetish. I think it's called chauvinism. Liang Xiaoxua looked at Xiaoping contemptuously. I guess that Xiaoping also has this kind of fetish. He has never been able to find an opportunity to satisfy his perverted fetish. Now that Yang Wei and Gao Wan have come to him in person, he looks very unhappy on the surface, but he is actually very happy in his heart, so he pushed the boat with the current and half-heartedly agreed. After listening, Zhang Yara was stunned. What she said was very reasonable. There was no reason to refute it at all. Could it be that this Xiaoping is really a hidden pervert? The afternoon class passed in the blink of an eye. Almost no student in class 12 was in the mood to listen to the class. They only cared about one thing now, that is, the duel between Xiaoping and Xiong Badian. At this time, the southwest corner of the campus was surrounded by a dense crowd around the Flying Dragon platform. Many students who knew the news came to watch the excitement and stood under the Flying Dragon platform, looking like they were watching a good show. And Xiong Badian had already stayed on the Flying Dragon platform, closing his eyes and resting his mind, with his hands crossed over his chest, recuperating. He was calm and his face was very calm. He seemed to be waiting for Xiaoping's arrival. Who is Xiong Badian fighting with? Why are there so many people this time? A student asked. He just saw so many people here, so he came to watch the excitement and didn't know the details. Another student said. It is said that a student named Xiaoping, only a martial artist at the third heavenly layer, because Xiong Badian wanted to vent his anger for his friend, he went to the Flying Dragon platform. It can't be. Is that kid crazy? Who doesn't know that Xiong Badian is a martial artist at the fifth heavenly layer, and he is also born with divine power. To deal with that kid, I'm afraid he can send the other party to the hospital with one punch. The student was surprised and incredulous. Isn't it? So that kid is simply overestimating himself. So many people gathered together just to see how badly that kid was beaten. In short, there is no suspense in the battle. The only suspense is how many moves that kid will be defeated by Xiong Badian, and how many days it will take to heal his injuries. Many students were talking. Look, Xiaoping is coming. A student shouted. He saw a young student coming from a distance, dressed in white clothes, looking very ordinary. The only extraordinary thing was that his eyes were always calm. Even in the face of so many people, he didn't panic at all. Behind him was a group of students. All of them were in the 6th class of high school. After class, they also followed Xiaoping and ran to the flying dragon platform to watch the excitement. "You're here." Xiong Badian opened his eyes and looked at Xiaoping, who walked up the flying dragon platform from below, showing a hint of surprise. "I thought you would run away. I didn't expect you to really have the courage to come here. For this reason, I will be merciful and only break 5 of your ribs." He stretched out 5 fingers. "No need." Xiaoping waved his hand. "Just let it go. It's good that you can break a hair of mine. If I show mercy, I'm afraid you won't be able to survive one move." "Arrogant." Xiong Batian snorted coldly and stared at Xiaoping very unhappily. A guy at the 3rd heavenly layer of martial artist actually dared to say such big words. Who does he think he is? When the game starts, this guy will know what despair is. He decided that he must not be merciful and let this kid learn some lessons. Otherwise, he won't know what it means to be in awe of the strong. Hearing Xiaoping's words, the students next to him were speechless. He was already on the flying dragon platform, but he still dared to be so stubborn. If he was really beaten up, I'm afraid he would never be able to speak again. Chapter 7. Teacher, let's start the duel. Xiong Badian turned to a teacher in white sportswear standing next to him and said. This teacher was the referee of this duel. The purpose was to prevent anyone from breaking the rules during the duel. The teacher nodded. Well, let's start the duel, but remember not to kill, otherwise I will stop you immediately. He gave Xiong Badian a warning look. Don't worry, teacher, I will love him well. Xiong Badian showed his white teeth and looked very fierce. With a whoosh, the teacher jumped off the Flying Dragon Experience platform and announced the start of the duel. Xiaoping, it should be your honor to duel with me. I will give you a good lesson about what a real martial arts master is. Remember, if you don't have the ability, don't casually provoke others in the future. You will pay a heavy price for it. Xiong Badian shouted, and with a bang he stepped out, causing the entire Flying Dragon Experience place to shake, and he actually left a footprint on it. His huge body produced a powerful impact, and his body moved forward like a bolt of lightning. A huge fist blasted out, and the surrounding air was expelled, making a whistling sound, as if a black bear was roaring. Intermediate martial skill Thunder Tyrannical Bear Fist. The power of this punch, if hit on the body of an ordinary human, will inevitably be torn apart. So strong, worthy of being Xiong Badian, this punch is more than 1,000 pounds, even a piece of steel will be broken. That kind of power is too terrifying, even an ordinary martial artist in the 6th heaven can't compare. It really is the intermediate martial skill Thunder Tyrannical Bear Fist. Not only does it have the violent power of a black bear, but it also has the speed of thunder. The two are perfectly integrated, and every move has the beauty of violence. I didn't expect Xiong Badian to use his full strength as soon as he was born. He didn't intend to give that kid a chance to fight back at all. It's too cruel. He cut off the opponent's hope of winning in an instant. A lion will do its best to fight a rabbit. Xiong Badian is not a person who will underestimate the enemy. That kid will probably be blown up by a punch. The students under the ring were talking about it. They were all shocked by the power of Xiong Badian's punch, and Xiaoping had no chance of winning at all. Too slow. Although the other students felt that this punch was extremely powerful and fast, for the current Xiaoping it was really too slow, and his whole body was full of openings. He had been imbued with the 5 forms fist, and his foresight was already at the level of a master. To deal with this kind of child's play, he naturally had a commanding view and did not put it in his eyes. Boom! Tiger fist of the 5 forms fist, fierce tiger out of the cage. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoping's aura changed. From a harmless little rabbit, he instantly transformed into a ferocious tiger that dominated the forest, the king of all beasts. Even the students below the stage could feel the violent aura of the king of beasts. They felt as though they were little white rabbits being hunted, and their bodies were trembling. Impossible, this kind of momentum. Could it be that he has already cultivated the 5 forms fist to the realm of perfection? The referee teacher felt this momentum and couldn't help but be shocked, his pupils shrinking. He was experienced and knowledgeable, so he naturally knew that this ordinary martial skill, 5 form fist, usually did not have such great power. To be able to display 5 form fist to such an extent, One must have cultivated this martial skill to an extremely profound realm. What? Xiong Badian was taken aback. He felt the terrible momentum coming from his opponent. It was like a real ferocious tiger, wanting to devour his entire body and reveal its ferocious fangs. Although he had also transformed into a black bear, he was just a human wearing a bear's skin. He only had the form but not the spirit, while his opponent had completely transformed into a ferocious beast. Bang! Fists collided with fists, and immediately a strong force shot out in all directions, rumbling like a bomb exploding in the air. Xiong Badian couldn't help but show a shocked expression. From his opponent's body came a burst of terrifying force, which actually flowed along his fist, inch by inch like a spiral, trying to directly smash his arm and chest ribs. Impossible! You want to defeat me in terms of strength? You're delusional! Xiong Badian shouted angrily, and the blue veins on his forehead bulged. He endured the pain and waved his other fist. It's too late. Xia Ping moved like lightning, and his other fist had already blasted over. 5-form fist tiger fist. Hungry tiger bites wolf. Boom, this punch was even more fierce, and the speed was extremely fast. It was a fatal blow given by a tiger after targeting its prey. It was a blow that could not be resisted at all. His fist landed solidly on Xiong Badian's chest. Kacha, kacha, kacha. It sounded like a ferocious tiger was tearing at him. 7 or 8 ribs were broken, and a copious amount of energy exploded on his chest, inch by inch. Impossible! Xiong Badian's heart collapsed and he screamed. He couldn't help but spit out a large mouthful of blood, and his whole body was directly blasted away, sliding in the air. With a snap, he slid directly in the air for a distance of more than 10 meters before smashing heavily on the ground, and the dust on the ground was smashed up and smoke billowed. Impossible! You are just a waste in the third heaven of martial arts. How can you defeat me? How can you defeat me, Xiong Badian? Xiong Badian felt pain in every part of his body, as if he was bitten by thousands of ants. His face was ferocious, very unwilling, and he wanted to struggle. Get lost, you have already lost. With a bang, Xia Ping walked in front of him and without looking, he kicked at his abdomen, as if kicking a piece of garbage, and his body flew out of the ring. Oh! Xiong Badian screamed wildly, extremely unwilling, and smashed under the ring. Seeing the unbelievable eyes of the surrounding students, he wanted to dig a hole and bury himself in it. Because being beaten out of the Flying Dragon experience place was already a loss, and he was treated like garbage, which was extremely shameful. When did he, Xiong Badian, lose so shamefully? Xiong Badian? Xia Ping stood on the ring looking down at him like this. Do you want to teach me what a martial arts master is? Do you want to teach me a lesson? Do you want to send me to the hospital? Now look, who is the waste? You are not as great as you think. In the future you should be low-key and don't make trouble everywhere, you know? You. Hearing this, Xiong Badian was so ashamed that he wanted to die. He was filled with grief and indignation. This bastard actually used his own words to refute him. This was going too far. Xiong Badian's eyes rolled back and he actually fainted from anger. Send him to the infirmary immediately. The teacher standing under the Flying Dragon experience place was already prepared. He ordered several students around him to help carry away the unconscious Xiong Badian. The teacher's eyes flickered as he looked at Xia Ping. His eyes were very sinister. You won this duel, but you can actually cultivate the 5 forms fist to the realm of perfection. It's really amazing. No wonder you can defeat Xiong Badian, and your cultivation should have reached the 4th layer of martial disciple. When did the school have someone like you? Martial arts were also divided into levels according to the level of cultivation: ordinary, proficient, perfect, and superb. It was already good for ordinary students to be able to cultivate to proficient. If one wanted to achieve perfection, or even perfection, it was not as simple as hard work. It required talent and an extremely deep understanding of the martial skill. Once a martial art could be cultivated to the superb level, the power it exerted was simply unimaginable. Even ordinary martial arts could exert the power of turning something rotten into something magical. It's just a fluke, Xia Ping said modestly. The teacher glanced at Xia Ping and smiled slightly. Fluke? There is no fluke in the path of martial arts. I am looking forward to your future development. Continue to work hard. Chapter 8. After Xiong Badian was carried away by the teacher and sent to the school's medical room, the surrounding students were extremely shocked. No way, really, Xiong Badian is not this kid's opponent. He was crippled by 2 punches and carried out like a dead dog. Is this still a martial artist at the 3rd heavenly layer? Didn't you hear what the teacher said? That kid has been promoted to the 4th heavenly layer. Bullshit, Xiong Badian is a powerhouse at the 5th heavenly layer. No matter how you look at it, Xiong Badian is stronger. Normally this is true, but that kid's martial skills are too terrifying. His punches and kicks are infinitely powerful, like a tiger going down the mountain. Even I standing under the ring seem to be swallowed. I heard from the teacher that this is a martial skill that has been cultivated to the point of perfection. Its power is infinite, and it is a piece of cake to challenge someone at a higher level. That's why Xiong Badian was easily defeated. It's so difficult to cultivate martial skills to the point of perfection. I've never heard of any student in the school who can be so powerful. How did this guy suddenly become so powerful? I don't know. Maybe this kid used to be very low-key and has been pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Many students were talking about it and they were all extremely shocked. They thought that Xiaoping would lose, but who would have thought that Xiong Badian would be easily defeated and carried out like a dead dog? Not to mention these ordinary students, even class 36, who are Xiaoping's classmates, can't believe that such a thing would happen. According to their understanding, this kid is just ordinary in the class, and he has no sense of existence at all. How could he suddenly become so fierce? He's like a pervert. This. Zhang Yara was also stunned. She had been prepared for Xiaoping to be sent to the hospital. Who would have thought that he would actually win? And it was Xiong Badian who was sent to the hospital. When did this guy break through to the 4th heavenly layer and even cultivate 5 forms fist to the point of perfection? She doesn't seem to know anything about the current Xiaoping. How could this happen? Liang Xiaoxue was even more shocked. Xiaoping's performance in the ring was deeply frightening to her. How could an ordinary guy with no ability become so powerful? Even if she stood on the stage and put herself in his shoes, she reckoned that she wouldn't be Xiong Badian's opponent. Could it be that this guy had already surpassed her? Her expression was very unsightly. A person that she looked down upon had suddenly surpassed her. She couldn't compare at all. This kind of feeling was very uncomfortable, as if she had been ruthlessly slapped in the face. This is bad, it's all over. Seeing Xiong Badian kicked out of the ring like garbage, Gao Wan and Yang Wei's faces were half green. They wanted to slap themselves several times. How could they make such a bet with this bastard? Isn't this courting death? Now that Xiaoping had defeated Xiong Badian, their contract was established. After that, the two of them needed to run 3 laps around the school naked. It was completely conceivable that they would become celebrities in the school tomorrow, ridiculed and pointed at by others. If it was serious, he might be discovered by the police and be arrested as a pervert and locked up for more than 10 days. Yang Wei, Gao Wan. Xiaoping stood on the stage and looked down at the two of them. He said lazily, "Now that I've won the duel, according to the previous agreement, you can go run around naked." Whiz whiz whiz. Immediately, the students on the stage immediately looked at Yang Wei and Gao Wan, all with a curious look. Xiaoping, in fact, we're classmates. The previous contract was a joke. Can you cancel this contract? After all, it's not good to do this. Gao Wan stammered. Xiaoping said lightly, "You may be joking, but I am not joking. If you refuse to implement the contract, then I will regard it as a breach of contract." Yang Wei and Gao Wan's faces changed. If Xiaoping sued them in court and said that they breached the contract, their government credit would immediately be greatly reduced. It would be very difficult for them to be admitted to a good university. After all, some good universities were also picky. They would never accept students with bad credit. This bastard was trying to ruin their future. Xiaoping, don't bully people too much. Yang Wei said angrily. Xiaoping sneered. I am bullying people too much. What if you have the ability to bite me? If he loses the game, put himself in their shoes and he begs for mercy, will these two people let him go? Think with your knees and know that it is impossible. Yang Wei and Gao Wan were half dead. But there was nothing they could do. Xiaoping, you are too much. Everyone is a classmate. You have to be lenient, you know? A classmate couldn't stand it and wanted to come out to uphold justice. That's right, it's just a small thing. Why bother about it? Everyone bows his head and raises his head. Why do you have to conflict like this? Yes, let them go as if nothing had happened. A group of students helped. Both Yang Wei and Gao Wan are very proud. This kid has offended the public. Now he can't not bow his head. Shut up. Xia Ping glanced around. If you want to stand up for him, you have to weigh your own ability. If you don't agree, go to the Flying Dragon Experience place. If you win, I will listen to you. If you don't have the ability, get out of here. He is most uncomfortable with this kind of person. It is clear that he has nothing to do with himself, and he doesn't know the inside story, but he advises others to be magnanimous and generous. Don't be narrow-minded. This kind of person must not be made friends, because sooner or later they will be struck by lightning. This. A group of students were half dead with anger, and their hearts were depressed to the extreme. Even Xiong Batian was not the opponent of this animal. If they went up, it was estimated that they would be sent to the dish. They can talk, but they can't really fight. Asshole, this guy is too arrogant. He thinks he is invincible when he defeats Xiong Batian. Despicable people are arrogant. Sooner or later, someone will deal with him. Many students whispered abuse, half dead with anger, and smoke came out of their noses. For these people's abuse, Xia Ping was not angry but extremely happy because he heard a burst of voices from the system. Hatred value +1, hatred value +1. Obviously, his words just now have accumulated a lot of hatred value for himself, which is a huge benefit. However, the hatred value seems to be a little less. It seems that he has to add a little more. Xia Ping touched his chin, stared at Yang Wei and Gao Wan and shouted, "What are you two waiting here for? Don't go and execute the contract immediately. I'm waiting to see a good show. Don't try to break the contract. And you waste wood, you only know how to talk, you don't have any ability. If you have the guts, go and run naked with them. If you don't have the guts, don't talk and stay where you are cool." He opened the map to a group of students, with a contemptuous look on his face. Bastard! Both Yang Wei and Gao Wan were mad and wanted to bite this guy to death, but with the constraints of the contract, they couldn't help it, unless they really didn't want to have a future. Damn Xia Ping, he's too arrogant. Why is it so annoying? It's a villain's success. Is there anyone to punish this bully? It's too hateful. The shame of the school. Why do I feel that Xiong Batian, the campus bully, is 100 times better than this bastard? A group of students' noses were crooked and they glared at Xia Ping. Chapter 9. Yang Wei and Gao Wan had no choice but to agree to execute the contract, but Xia Ping was not interested in watching it because it was late and he needed to go home for dinner. As soon as he got home, Xia Ping immediately asked a strong smell of meat. The fragrance was so fragrant that even the cells of his whole body were eager. He couldn't help swallowing his saliva. "Mom, what the hell did you cook today? Why is it so fragrant?" A slightly fat middle-aged woman wearing an apron leaned out. She was Xia Ping's mother, Huang Lanxin. She smiled slightly. "This is the fire bear meat I just bought. You have a good meal today." "Fire bear meat? Did you make a fortune today? Why did you buy these?" Xia Ping's eyes widened. This fire bear is a famous and powerful monster in Yanhuang Star. It is difficult to catch. It is invulnerable and ordinary firearms can't kill it. However, this meat is very precious and contains a lot of life energy. When taken as soup, it can improve the physique and even enhance the true energy in the body. It is no less than a great tonic, and it is many times better than the ginseng and deer antler on the earth. But the price is also very expensive. 600 federal coins per caddy is a luxury. Ordinary people can't afford it at all. They can only eat it occasionally during festivals. If you don't make a fortune, you can't buy it. Occasionally, you have to be extravagant. If you make money and don't spend it, do you want to bring it to the coffin? Xia Chuanlu, who was sitting in the living room, coughed and showed a very generous look. Xia Ping was speechless. He remembered that his father, Xia Chuanlu, was a civil servant. He worked in the city administration bureau and was responsible for managing the city's small merchants and hawkers. In short, he was an urban management officer. He had a monthly salary and benefits of 5 or 6,000 federal coins. His mother was a small merchant hawker selling snacks on the street. Although she didn't earn much every month, she still earned 3,000 federal coins. It seemed that the family income was more than 10,000 federal coins. The problem was that this house was also bought with a loan. It had a 30-year term and he had to pay back 3,000 federal coins every month. In addition to the monthly living expenses, Xiaoping's tuition fees, etc., it was also a bit stretched. Eating fire bear meat once, if it wasn't for festivals, he really wouldn't have the heart to do so. Okay, don't talk so much. Hurry up and come over to eat. Mother Huang Lanxin quickly brought up a plate of dishes, filling the table, 5 dishes and 1 soup, dazzling, fragrant, very sumptuous. Seeing such a sumptuous meal, Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. This was completely a hongmen banquet. His father, who was usually so stingy that he would only leave the cigarette but when he smoked, would never be so generous. Dad, to be honest, do we owe them a loan shark? After eating our last dinner, we're planning to pack up and run away. Just tell me the truth. I can hold on. Xiaoping's face was very serious as he stared at his father. His heart was filled with emotions. The day had finally come. He also knew his father's character. He was usually a bit of a gambler. He felt that with his father's character, something would happen sooner or later. He did not expect it to happen. Son, what's with that look in your eyes? What do you mean by owing a loan shark? What do you mean by planning to run away? Is this the image of your father in your heart? Xia Chuanlu was so angry that his nose was crooked. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. You didn't know usury? Of course not. Father, Xia Chuanlu said arrogantly. I am also a civil servant. I have an establishment. My ideological consciousness is higher than the average person. How can I be addicted to gambling? Of course, a little gambling occasionally can also cultivate the sentiment. Isn't there a saying? A little gambling is fun, a big gambling is rich, and a bad gambling is gone. Well, tell me what's going on with this meal? Xiaoping was still a little skeptical. Seeing that his son still doubted himself, Xia Chuanliu's face was a little embarrassed. Who asked him to have a bad image? He coughed and said, It's not what happened. I've said it to this extent. I'll tell you straight. Today your school should also start to talk about it and plan to fill in the college. What plans do you have for the future? He looked at Xiaoping with burning eyes. I plan to go to college. Xiaoping replied casually. Mother Huang Lanxin exclaimed, You plan to go to college? Son, really? Do you still have such an idea? Father Xia Chuanlu looked at Xiaoping in horror. The corner of Xiaoping's mouth twitched. What the hell is going on? Aren't parents very happy when they hear that their son wants to go to college? Why do these two look like they've seen a ghost? I have such an idea. Xiaoping said honestly. Son, this idea is wrong. It's against the rules. Xia Chuanlu looked distressed. What's so good about going to college? After 4 years of study, you can only earn 3,000 or 4,000 federal dollars a month when you come out to work. If you're unlucky and meet a black-hearted boss, you won't have 5 insurances in one fund, and you have to pay 4 years of tuition, which is not a small amount. I've already thought about it for you. After graduating from high school, come out and work in the government department. Don't go to other departments, just go to your dad's city administration bureau. Don't look at your dad's low-key face. After working for 20 years, I still have some contacts. I usually play mahjong with the minister, and I usually flatter him and hug his thigh. After a while, we're all familiar with each other. When the time comes, I'll give you a few cartons of cigarettes, bribe the minister, go through the back door, and you'll be able to enter the city administration bureau. After that, you and your dad will sweep the streets, contribute to the city's management, drive away the stalls, and become a tyrant in the city. A family of 2 city management officers. How awe-inspiring it is to say that the matchmakers will break our door. Speaking of this, he showed a triumphant look, and his face was full of longing. The corner of Xiaoping's mouth twitched, and he said, Dad, I still want to go to college. You. Rotten wood can't be carved. Xia Chuanliu's eyes widened, showing a look of disappointment. Okay, don't say these things. Let's hurry up and eat. There's still some time before high school graduation. You can think about this thing slowly. Seeing the atmosphere a little stiff, Mother Huang Lanxin quickly dissuaded. All right. Hearing this, Xia Chuanlu did not continue to speak. Half an hour later, after dinner, Xia Ping went back to his bedroom to rest, leaving only Huang Lanxin and Xia Chuanlu in the living room. Chuanlu, your son doesn't seem to agree with your path. Huang Lanxin looked at her husband. Xia Chuanlu waved his hand and didn't care at all. This is the rebellious period of young people. I was also young and understand, but the reality is that his grades are average. After the college entrance examination, his grades will come out, and he will know how wise his father is. When the time comes, I'm sure he'll agree eagerly. Chapter 10. Bedroom. At this time, Xia Ping was sitting cross-legged on the bed, running the pure young immortal art to refine the fire bear meat he had just eaten. A hot energy rose from his stomach and flowed through the meridians, strengthening the true qi in his body. Amazing, worthy of being a top cultivation technique. After running a cycle, Xia Ping opened his eyes, revealing a glimmer of light. He felt that the true qi in his body had strengthened a little. In just a few breaths, the energy contained in the fire bear meat was completely refined by him and turned into his own energy. It must be known that ordinary cultivation techniques can't be completely refined without a day's time. Even if it is refined, most of the energy will be lost and excreted. But when Xia Ping ran this pure yang immortal art, he felt that his stomach seemed to turn into a furnace, swallowing and refining the monster meat in an instant, eliminating impurities and leaving the essence. This is the advantage of top cultivation techniques. The efficiency of energy absorption alone is not comparable to ordinary cultivation techniques. It's a pity that there is too little fire bear meat. If there is more, I can break through to the 5th heavenly layer in less than half a month. Xia Ping squeezed his fist. If he could eat fire bear meat every day, he believed that his progress would be extremely fast, and breaking through to the 5th heavenly layer would be nothing at all. According to this cultivation, it would not be a problem even if he went to a first-class university. But the price of fire bear meat is too expensive, 600 federal coins a gene. His family can't afford it at all. No wonder those rich second generation, even if their talent is ordinary, all of them progress so fast, relying on the accumulation of resources, they can also pile up, far surpassing ordinary students. Xia Ping couldn't help but sigh. In school, some rich second generation also look down on ordinary students. They eat monster meat every day and eat all kinds of supplements. How can their martial arts cultivation not be strong? Ordinary students can only cultivate hard and absorb the meager spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Of course, they can't compare with the other party, and the gap will become bigger and bigger as time goes by. But with this system, if I get hatred, I may be able to exchange for some top-grade medicinal pills. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. Before in the Flying Dragon platform, he got 220 hatred points. Because there were many students watching at that time, naturally he got more hatred points than in class. But these aggro points are still too little. Good steel can only be used on the edge of the blade. After all, it is impossible to attract aggro all the time. Otherwise, I will become the public enemy, and there will be no place for me. This is a double-edged sword, and I must use it carefully. Thinking of this, Xia Ping felt a little helpless. Looks like I still need money. Without money, I won't be able to buy all sorts of pills and monster meat, and I won't be able to quickly increase my martial arts cultivation. If he was still the ordinary student from before, perhaps it wouldn't be a big deal to agree to become a city enforcement officer with his father. Living an ordinary life would also be a happy thing. But now that he had fused with the memories of another world and obtained this wonderful system, a trace of ambition was born in his heart. He also wanted to see what the peak of martial arts was like. But how do we make money? Xia Ping was very distressed. He was just an ordinary student. Even if he got the top martial arts now, he was only in the realm of the 4th heavenly layer of martial arts. He couldn't do any work when he went out to society. He wanted to go out to hunt monsters, but he was only in the 4th heavenly layer of martial arts. It was estimated that he would only be able to send food. Even if he could do a part-time job, it would be an ordinary part-time job. As a waiter, handing out leaflets and so on, he couldn't make much money at all and couldn't meet the needs of cultivation. By the way, it's better to write novels. Xia Ping's eyes suddenly lit up. Even in Yanhuang Star, a world where technology far exceeds that of the Earth, The charm of words still has not faded. The real top novelists can earn more than 1 billion federal coins every year, which is no less than the wealth of top martial artists. This can prove that the novel industry has an extremely bright future. Moreover, there is basically no piracy in this world. Copyright awareness is extremely high, and there are countless paying users, which has also caused the novel industry to be extremely prosperous. He recalled his memories on Earth. He had read countless popular novels, and because of the fusion of memories, he could remember the things he had read before very clearly. He could even recite these novels backwards without a problem. The idea of writing a novel had been decided, but the problem was which novel to write. After all, novels also had many categories, such as urban, fantasy, martial arts, science fiction, history, romance, suspense, and so on. It was all-encompassing. Fantasy and martial arts novels are definitely not good. Xiaoping ruled out these two kinds of novels at once. After all, this was a world where martial arts flourished to the extreme. Writing fantasy and martial arts novels was not fantasy but reality. Moreover, fantasy novels that could be popular on Earth may not be popular on Yanhuang Star. Not to mention urban novels, Yanhuang Star and Earth were not the same world at all, and there was no reference value at all. History and romance were not in his consideration at all. Although suspense novels were good, they may not be popular in this world. So, writing novels is not feasible at all. No, there is another kind of novel that will definitely be popular. Xiaoping immediately cheered up. Erotic novels. Yes, I can write erotic novels. Erotic novels in a more vulgar way were erotic novels. On Earth, China, this kind of novel was strictly prohibited and could not be spread on the internet at all. The shameless relevant departments banned a batch of them. Clean up. Crack down. Some authors who wrote such popular novels would be arrested and put in prison, in a miserable situation. There were even some who wrote a little bit on the edge, and their books were also blocked, which could be called a literary prison. But even so, in such a dark era, there were still some erotic novels that shone brilliantly, making countless men talk about them and read them as sacred texts. Yes, I want to write erotic novels. Xiaoping clenched his fists. Although the background is different, the world is different, and the development of science and technology is different, we are all human beings, all men, and all animals that think with their lower bodies. So if this kind of novel can be popular on Earth, it can also be popular on Yanhuang Star. And more importantly, this kind of novel was not banned on Yanhuang Star. The atmosphere here was extremely open. As long as one was over 12 years old, they could read it, and there was no need to worry about it being seized. In order to make money, I have to write erotic novels. Xiaoping's eyes showed a sacred light, and he clenched his fists. He finally found a way to make a fortune. But what was the best way to write the first erotic novel? Although there were many classics on Earth, it had to be the kind that was an instant hit, eye-catching, and a god. Right, let's write about Teacher by Rong. Xiaoping remembered this classic erotic novel. It was his enlightenment book. He didn't know how many lonely nights he had spent and how many tissues he had wasted. It was definitely a divine book. Chapter 11. At night, a middle-aged man with a big belly stood in a room. His body was surrounded by virtual projection web pages. As long as he waved his hand gently, this virtual web page would disappear, and with a light click, he would enter another web page. This was the computer on Yanhuang Star, and the virtual projection had become a reality. However, the legendary virtual world, the high-tech technology that could pull human consciousness into a virtual real world with the help of the virtual helmet, had not yet appeared. However, there were rumors circulating that such technology had already appeared in the top-secret laboratory of the Federation, but this was only a rumor and had not been confirmed. Ridiculous, it's really ridiculous. Do you think you can write an excellent erotic novel just by writing casually? I'm laughing my head off. Authors nowadays really look down on erotic novels. The middle-aged man sneered. His name was Meng Fei, 35 years old this year, and he was the editor in charge of Penguin, the largest website on Yanhuang Star. His usual job was to review novels, find novels with potential, and then let the author sign a contract with the website and then put it on sale. The problem was that he had not found an erotic novel that suited his taste for several weeks. Most of the submissions that came to the website were the same, and there was no novelty at all. It simply could not arouse his interest to continue reading. One must know that the erotic novels on Yanhuang Star had not been cracked down by the government, which led to the blooming of many erotic novels and the emergence of many excellent works. The income that a truly top-notch erotic novel could obtain was no less than that of other popular novels, and even in terms of sales volume, it was second to none among many novel categories. This had also led to many authors coming over to try, wanting to get their first bucket of gold. Don't think that every erotic novel can become popular and be welcomed by countless readers. In fact, for readers who have read countless erotic novels, their appetite has long been spoiled, and they have no interest in ordinary works at all. Just like an old driver who had seen countless erotic films, did he think that as long as a woman took off her clothes casually, he would be excited? No, this was not enough at all. The old driver didn't even bother to look at you, and didn't even show his respect. It was better to play games. Sure enough, Meng Fei said with emotion, with Master Zhenghua's retirement and teacher Bao Pikhang getting older, is there no one who can write erotic novels that are really exciting and can't sleep at night? He sighed incomparably. 10 years ago, erotic novels were glorious, and excellent works emerged one after another. At that time he was exhausted, malnourished, and shaped like a skeleton. He almost couldn't even graduate from high school. He couldn't sleep without reading it every night. Of course, it was even more difficult to fall asleep after watching it. The exciting and bizarre plot of the story seemed to emerge in front of his eyes. The blood-pumping close combat made him extremely excited. It could be said that the real top erotic novels were many times better than those films and TV works. Because of this, he entered Penguin and became an editor of erotic novels. Unfortunately, 10 years had passed, and there were fewer and fewer excellent erotic novels. There were even people who shouted that erotic novels were dead, and it was better to watch porn. This made him so sad that he couldn't sleep at night. That was why he worked overtime every day, watching every new work, in order to find potential works and defeat these rumors. Unfortunately, so far, he couldn't find enough to make his eyes light up. But I can't find a really good erotic novel. Is it really because I don't have a good eye? Should I resign? Meng Fei couldn't help but doubt himself, because he suffered a great career crisis 2 years ago. At that time he was walking on the road and was hit by a magnetic car that went out of control. He was seriously injured on the spot and was hospitalized on the spot. But after he was discharged from the hospital, the doctor told him that he had sexual dysfunction, and that he wouldn't be able to stand up straight in the future. This kind of disease couldn't be cured even with modern technology. It was a terminal illness. From then on, he no longer felt anything when he read erotic novels. It was like Jew wax. But he didn't tell the company about this. Instead, he hid it. Otherwise, he would have been kicked out of the company. No, I can't resign yet. If I don't find a really good erotic novel, I won't be able to die in peace. The future of erotic novels must not be ruined in my hands. There are still countless men's needs waiting for us to satisfy, and countless young people need our enlightenment. How can I give up and surrender at this time? This is the behavior of a coward. Meng Fei's eyes were incomparably resolute, revealing a trace of holy light. He was like a martyr. His cause was great. Even if no one understood him and he suffered the disdainful gazes of the common people, he would still die 9 times without regrets. Forget it. After reading the last novel, go to rest, and get up tomorrow to continue fighting. With a ding sound, another new novel came over. Meng Fei glanced at it. It seemed to be a new author, Black-Hearted Wolf. The name of the work was Teacher by Rong. This was a very novel name. However, novel names were not enough. What was important was the plot and the content of the story. Meng Fei sneered. He had read countless books and was very picky about excellent works. Even if it was a new author, if it was not good, he would not show the slightest mercy. The protagonist is actually a teacher? This teacher was not bad. She was young, beautiful, and had a sexy figure. She was actually married at such a young age. Damn it. When I was young, why were the teachers all aunties? There was no feeling of puberty at all. Meng Fei was filled with resentment. He continued to read. Damn it. This principal was a beast. He actually used his position to publicly make a move on his own beautiful subordinate. Shameless to the extreme, and she even had a husband. You beast principal, do you think that by doing this and using your position to threaten others they will obey? If I really sue you, I will go to jail. Damn, she really obeyed and did not dare to resist. By Rong, you are a teacher and you have a husband. Don't you have any shame? Resist him for me. Damn it, this was too despicable. What had happened to the sacred school? Such a shameless business actually happened. Such a beautiful teacher was so easily taken advantage of. She did not even have the time to fall in love. She directly hit home runs. This was too monstrous. However, novels should be like this, simple and direct. Meng Fei was completely immersed in the world of the novel. He discovered that the following plot was getting more and more intense. This adulterous couple not only messed around in the school, but also at home. In the end, the husband suddenly returned, and the plot came to an abrupt end. Damn, it's gone. Why is it gone? Meng Fei's head was burning with anger. He was burning with anxiety. He simply wanted to beat up the author. It was gone at the most crucial moment. How could he live? Chapter 12. Divine work. This is definitely a divine work. Meng Fei was excited. How long had it been? 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years? He couldn't remember how long it had been since he had read such an erotic novel. He was suffering from sexual dysfunction, which was a terminal illness in medical terms. But after reading this novel, he actually felt restless and couldn't stop himself. If this wasn't a masterpiece, then what was? Sign it. I must sign it immediately. Meng Fei couldn't help clenching his fists. If he didn't sign such a divine work immediately, he was afraid that he would regret it for the rest of his life. This writing skill was too terrifying. It was simply deeply rooted in people's hearts, as if the real event happened in front of his eyes. This was already a writing skill that was close to perfection. The person who could write such a work was definitely a master-level character. He didn't know how many films he had watched throughout the year, and had rich clinical experience. Could it be that Master Zheng Hua personally wrote it again? Thinking of this, he immediately looked at the author's contact information and some information. He was immediately stunned. The person who wrote this work was not a master, but an 18-year-old high school student. When did a high school student have such writing skills? He actually wrote such a master-level work. Meng Fei couldn't believe his eyes. He confirmed it again and again before he was really sure. Because this was the information filled in by the author himself, and it was carefully verified by his ID card. It was absolutely impossible to falsify. It's true. This is definitely a genius writer. A rising superstar in the future. Maybe he can even surpass the achievements of Master Zheng Hua. Meng Fei couldn't help but get excited. He didn't care that it was late at night and immediately added the author's penguin number. With a ding, the friend verification was immediately approved. Has it been successful? Meng Fei was overjoyed and immediately established a video communication with the other party. Soon an image came from the other side. A young man in white casual clothes with a tender face appeared in front of him. Are you teacher Black-Hearted Wolf? He asked cautiously. The young man was stunned. He didn't expect someone to call him a teacher, but he quickly reacted. Yes, I am the author who just submitted the novel Black-Hearted Wolf. My real name is Xia Ping. That's great. Meng Fei smiled. I've read your novel, and I personally have high hopes for it. I wonder if you can sign a contract with Penguin? I can guarantee you that we will definitely have the strongest promotion to make your novel a hit. He was full of confidence. Even an experienced driver like him was excited to such an extent after just reading the beginning. It would be intolerable if such a novel did not become popular. Alright, let's sign the contract then. Xia Ping nodded and agreed. He originally wanted to sign a contract with Penguin. After all, this online novel platform is the largest in the entire Yanhuang Star. If it can become popular, the benefits will be the greatest. That's great. This is the standard contract with Penguin. Every author will sign the same contract with us. I believe teacher Black-Hearted Wolf won't be at a disadvantage. Meng Fei immediately sent a contract over on the internet. If you agree, just sign it. In this day and age, paper contracts had already been eliminated. Contracts could be signed online and signed with one's own ID microchip. That was also legally binding. Sure. Xia Ping casually glanced at it and signed the contract. He had done some research on Penguin. It was the biggest website in the industry. There had not been any major scandals and it was trustworthy. When Meng Fei saw that the contract was signed, He was immediately overjoyed. His attitude became even more enthusiastic. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, do you still have any drafts? If you do, post it as soon as possible. If it reaches 100,000 words, I will arrange a recommendation for you as soon as possible. In fact, novels are the same no matter which world they are in. If the number of words is not enough, fewer people will read it. I don't have any drafts for the time being, but I can type it out soon, Xiaoping said confidently. His body in the world of Yanhuang Star was many times stronger than that on Earth, and his writing speed had also greatly increased. He had just tested it and actually reached a speed of 20,000 words per hour. It was simply inhuman. Of course, this also had something to do with him just typing out the words in his mind. He didn't need to think too much about the plot. He just needed to copy the ready-made plot. If that's the case, then I'm looking forward to the next story of Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf. Hearing that there was no draft, Meng Fei felt very regretful. He still wanted to see the next content. But if there was no draft, then there was no other way. Next, he and Xiaoping checked the bank account and ID information. After all, this was a matter of remuneration which was very important. Naturally, they could not be sloppy. After the check, the two sides ended the call. Haha. Finally, a new master of erotic novels will be born in my hands. Meng Fei was extremely excited. The sense of accomplishment of being able to cultivate a top master of erotic novels was extraordinary. In the novel industry, even editors had so-called actual achievements. If you didn't bring out a few famous authors, no one would believe your ability. Once you could cultivate a master, then your status in the industry would definitely increase greatly, and even your salary would increase sharply. It was not impossible for you to become the editor-in-chief. However, now was not the time for Meng Fei to consider such trivial matters. After reading the novel, he felt his body stirring, and a flame that he hadn't seen for 2 years actually appeared. One had to know that since the car accident, his family had almost fallen apart. He couldn't touch his wife, so he felt very inferior. He was looked down upon by his boss outside, and looked down upon by his wife at home. How tragic was that? But today he was going to start to regain his strength and make that woman kneel and beg for mercy. Meng Fei's eyes showed a raging fire, and at the same time, he also sighed in his heart. This master-level work had saved his life, and it was no less than a dose of magic medicine. Thinking of this, he walked towards his wife's bedroom, exuding unprecedented confidence. I've finally signed the contract successfully. The next step is to continue to save the draft and post all the remaining chapters. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He planned to write 500,000 words for this novel. If he wrote 20,000 words per hour, it would take at least 25 hours. Of course, he also had to attend classes so he could write for up to 8 hours a day. He had to write for about 3 days. Some people said that some novels often had millions of words, so a mere 500,000 was too little, but for erotic novels 100,000 to 200,000 words was normal. 500,000 words would already be considered a masterpiece. Okay, I have to work hard and make money. Chapter 13. When Xiaoping got up the next morning, he was in high spirits. He spent 3 hours before going to bed last night and typed 60,000 words. In addition to the 30,000 words he had written before, he had 90,000 words. In another 2 or 3 days, he will be able to complete the work completely. Although such a workload seems to be a lot, it is nothing for him as a martial artist. After breakfast, Xiaoping left home and planned to go to school, but he soon found that a group of aunts and uncles gathered around and seemed to be gossiping enthusiastically. Have you heard? Last night, there were 2 perverts who ran naked near Tianshui City 95th High School. It's really the decline of the world. I didn't expect that someone would do such a disgraceful thing. Of course, I heard that the 2 perverts seemed to have run around the school for a lap and a half. As a result, someone called the police. Immediately, 3 police cars came and more than a dozen policemen came down and arrested the 2 perverts on the spot. A group of people applauded. It's good to catch such perverts. Can Social Security be good if such perverts are not arrested? In the future, my daughter will not dare to walk on the road for fear of being attacked by those perverts. I heard that the 2 perverts seem to be students of Tianshui City 95th High School. No, they are still students. Are they crazy? They began to have this kind of hobby at a young age. Animals. Now that the college entrance examination is approaching, there may be a lot of pressure to study. You can't run around naked even if you're stressed. It's a crime. But we don't need to worry about the two perverts for the time being. According to the information from the police, they violated the law on public security management and have been detained for 7 days according to the law without bail. But sooner or later they will come out, and we must keep an eye on them. Yes, we must keep an eye on them. These two people are potential criminals in the future. We can't relax our vigilance. A group of aunts and uncles discussed with each other. Xiaoping was speechless. He was 100% sure that the two arrested perverts must be Gao Wan and Yang Wei. He didn't expect them to be so unlucky that they were really arrested by the police. But he was too lazy to care about this and soon arrived at school. But today seemed different from the past. After what happened yesterday, he had become a celebrity in the class. As soon as he came in, he felt the hot eyes of countless students in the class. It was estimated that these students already knew that Yang Wei and Gao Wan, two brothers in distress, were arrested by the police. Xiaoping was very calm. He returned to his seat, completely ignoring the gazes around him, and began to write. To him, writing was a serious job, and this was about to earn him a large sum of federal coins. Ring, the class bell rang, and the head teacher Qiushu came in. She saw 2 empty seats in the class at once and asked doubtfully, "Where are Yang Wei and Gao Wan? Why didn't they come to class?" "Teacher, they've been arrested," a classmate shouted. "It's said that they've been detained by the police for 7 days without bail." He was arrested and detained by the police. Qiushu was struck by lightning. She was a little stunned. What the heck, what was going on? Although she had only taught for half a year and taught some bad students, she never thought that her students would be arrested by the police one day. What bad things did they do to be arrested by the police? What happened? Why were they arrested by the police? Qiushu asked quickly. Because she had something to do yesterday, she left Tianshui City after class and came back this morning, so she didn't know what happened at school. They were running around the school naked, immoral, and were arrested by some ants with a sense of justice. A classmate replied, but his face was extremely strange. Because he was at the scene last night. Gao Maru and Yang Wei were taken away by the police as prisoners. When they were tied up and taken to the police car, they shouted hoarsely like pigs being slaughtered. He couldn't forget it for a long time. It was really sad to hear and tears to hear. There was even a group of ants throwing eggs, cauliflower, and so on at the two people. It was very embarrassing. Qiushu was a little dumbfounded. How could they run naked at school? She remembered that although the two students were not very good at ordinary times, there was a phenomenon of bullying their classmates. But they would not do such an immoral thing. It's probably too much pressure. Xiaoping replied casually. Too much pressure. A group of students shot contemptuous eyes and looked at Xiaoping. In the end, it's not you, the bastard, who signed a contract with them that forced them to run naked around the school. It can be said that Yang Wei and Gao Wan were arrested by the police because of this bastard. In ancient times it was forced to prostitute, but this guy also said that people did this kind of thing because they were under too much pressure. It's too shameless. How can his face be so thick? Too much pressure? Qiushu didn't understand the details, but she also thought it was a very appropriate explanation. Isn't it a lot of pressure? There are only 5 months before the college entrance examination, which is a major event that determines the watershed of life. Yesterday, she even held a class meeting and a talk on the road to analyze the seriousness of the matter. I'm afraid that this will increase the pressure on the two people's hearts. As a result, they can't take it anymore and run naked at school. Hey, it's still my fault. I didn't pay attention to the psychological state of my students and didn't release their psychological pressure in time. I didn't expect this to happen and I was arrested by the police. Thinking of this, Qiushu couldn't sit still and said, "Dear students, since such a thing happened, today's class will be changed to self-study. Teacher, I will go to the police station to see the two students and see if they need any help." After that, she left the classroom in a hurry. The students next to him looked at Xiaoping strangely, but Xiaoping was still very calm and was not affected by these eyes at all. Self-study? Just right. Take advantage of this time to code the rest of the plot as soon as possible. Xiaoping was delighted. If he didn't need to attend classes, he would have a lot of time to write novels. A day passed in a blink of an eye. Today it was Comet School. Xiong Batian, who was defeated, seemed to have disappeared. It was said that he was sent to the Tianshui City First People's Hospital for treatment and could not come back in a short time. Yang Wei and Gao Wan were also arrested, and it would be 7 days before they came out. After returning home after dinner, Xiaoping went back to his room and wrote desperately, and wrote for a few hours. Today, he wrote 120,000 words, and then he published it at once and put it on the internet. He opened Penguin and looked at his novel page. Because the release time was too short, the website had not had time to arrange recommendations, and there were not many readers' comments on it. The situation was very bleak. Chapter 14. To be honest, hype was not shameful. It was also a way of self-promotion. As for the internet hype, it was a low-cost and highly efficient method of publicity. In his previous life on Earth, some celebrities, writers, or people with a bit of fame would hype themselves up on the internet without restraint to increase their fame. If there was any film and television work, the relevant personnel would take the initiative to hype it up 24/7 in Chieba, forums, Weibo, and other places so that everyone would know about it. After all, it was not the era where fragrant wine feared no dark alleys. Fragrant wine needed more publicity and hype so that the business could be booming and a lot of money could be made. Xiaoping was naturally not a good person. In his previous life, he had also seen a lot of darkness. If a work wanted to be popular, 50% of it depended on strength, and 50% needed to be operated. On Yanhuang Star, the netizens seemed to be very simple. They had not experienced the crazy hype on the Earth's internet. They all posted honestly on the internet and discussed with each other. Under such a background, it was estimated that as long as he casually took out some of the hype techniques on Earth, it should immediately become popular and increase the fame of his novel. Thinking of this, Xiaoping immediately did it. He began to hype on the most famous Tianning forum on Yanhuang Star. First, he registered a sock puppet account. He used this sock puppet account to immediately write an article, Teacher by Rong, this is the best erotic novel I have read in recent years. The previous novels are all bullshit. This article was dedicated to flattering. From different perspectives such as plot, creativity, depth, description, etc., it described this novel as heaven and earth. If you don't read it, you will have lived in vain. Even Xiaoping blushed a little. But this was just the beginning. Next, he registered 5 or 6 different sock puppet accounts and replied below. Great praise, the original poster is right. Although this novel is not the best in the world, there is no one that can compare to it at present. It is a masterpiece that carries the banner of erotic novels. It is a mudslide among countless rubbish novels. I can conclude that it must be the most popular erotic novel this year, and a new generation of erotic novel master is rising. A sock puppet boasted. Boast your uncle, will you die if you don't boast? Master, why aren't you a big shit? I've read this novel before. It's completely rubbish and unsightly. Even if it was written by a primary school student, it would be better than this novel. After all, the hype couldn't be all about flattery. Otherwise, it would be seen through by others in an instant. There had to be flattery and criticism to make it seem real. You're right, I went to take a look and found out that it was written by a dog from Yangzhou District. Who doesn't know that Yinzhou District is a cultural desert in Yanhuang Star? There have never been any literary masters. What's so good about the novels written by the people of Yangzhou District? It's a pile of garbage. To be honest, please don't hit me. The people of Yangzhou District are not cultured at all. They are at least 100 years behind my Jizhou District. One of the sock puppets had sinister intentions and started a regional war. Because Yanhuang Star was unified, the entire planet was divided into 9 regions, namely Jizhou, Yenzhou, Qingzhou, Shuzhou, Yangzhou, Jingzhou, Yuzhou, Yizhou, Yongzhou, and so on. The development of each region was different, so it was naturally easy to cause contradictions in each region. Everyone was very displeased with each other. Sometimes, many regional haters would appear on the internet from time to time, and war of words often broke out. You Jizhou dog, don't think that you're great just because you have a few celebrities in Jizhou. It's all supported by some old people. There is no one from the younger generation. You have long since declined, and you can only rely on your old capital. Not to mention anything else, this novel alone can beat your Jizhou district for 100 years without wavering. A sock puppet shouted hoarsely, As if he was a bullied person from Yangzhou district. That's right, I've long disliked the group of garbage in Jizhou district. It's a place where the sun is setting. What's there to be proud of? A crowd who didn't know the truth supported him. Of course, as a person from Qingzhou district, I'm standing in a very fair perspective to say this. A starving camel is bigger than a horse. No matter what my Jizhou district is, it's not something that you garbage can compare with. The people in your Qingzhou district are not good birds either. You're still pretending to be fair here. Who doesn't know that you have the most swindlers there? I don't even know how many people have been arrested for wire fraud. A person from Jizhou district was annoyed and immediately posted a counterattack. Because it was at night, when the number of people online was the most, this controversial post immediately became popular on the Tianying forum, attracting countless onlookers. In just an hour, the post had already reached 3.6 million hits, and the number of replies had reached 89,000. It was almost too much to read. Among them, people in the 9 regions abused each other, reaching the level of personal attacks. Some people clamored that as long as they made money, they would find someone to beat them across the region. The atmosphere was very hot. Even the altar master of the Tianying forum was alarmed and had to come out to uphold justice. Xia Ping, the initiator, was also very speechless. He didn't expect these people to be so pure and so easily provoked. The atmosphere was so hot that it exceeded his imagination. But thinking about it, these were all hype methods that were advanced for many years on the earth in his previous life. These noobs on Yanhuang Star suddenly encountered such clever means, and they were all stunned. It was normal for such an effect to occur. However, it was impossible for him to stop now. To hype up a topic, countless people had to participate in it. This was just the beginning. It was far from the end. So he went to some infertility forums and registered several sock puppet accounts. Then one of the sock puppet accounts quickly opened a post with the theme, The Gospel of Infertility, Erotic Novel Teacher by Rong. This novel is so good. In the past, even if I took Viagra, I couldn't get up. But since reading this novel, my waist is not sore, my legs are not painful, and I feel refreshed. I can go up to the 9th floor in one breath without panting. Even my wife doesn't hit me anymore. She often looks at me with admiration. I think this novel changed my life and gave me a second spring. It's not as simple as a novel. It's simply a miracle doctor, better than Viagra. A sock puppet spoke up. Everyone, don't doubt me. I feel the same way. I didn't believe it at first, but my brother introduced it to me. After reading it doubtfully, it's really effective. It's much better than taking medicine. A sock puppet echoed. Yes, it takes money to treat a disease, but it doesn't cost much to read this novel. Why not try it? Maybe it will succeed. A sock puppet advised Ro very insidiously. Really? If it really works, I'll give it a try. Big brother, thank you so much. If it's really that powerful, then you've saved our lives. Yes, since I got this disease, I've been looked down upon by my boss outside, looked down upon by my wife at home, and even when I go out to visit prostitutes, I'm looked down upon by Nightingale. It's too miserable. I don't have any pursuit in life anymore. A group of netizens who didn't know the truth were very grateful. You're welcome. I'm a helpful person. Don't be too grateful to me. Chapter 15. In addition to posting on those infertility forums, Xia Ping also deliberately chose to post on the forums of erotic novel masters such as Zheng Hua and Bao Pikhang. These two people were the titans of erotic novels. They had written countless classics and had many fans. The number of fans on the forums alone was 30 million. If he could stir up hot topics in these forums, he would definitely attract a lot of readers. So Xia Ping immediately registered a few sock puppets. One of them posted a post titled Discussion about Master Zheng Hua's works that no one would read in modern society. This article deliberately stood from a very fair point of view, but from time to time, it would criticize Master Zheng Hua's works and disparage his works as worthless. I agree with the original poster. Although I also think that Zheng Hua is a master of erotic novels of this era, his works are too old and stale. No one will read them in this era. I don't understand what he is talking about at all. I only know that he is self-satisfied here, and he is writing it for himself. A sock puppet desperately stepped on it. Isn't it? If Zheng Hua writes novels in person again, except for some die-hard fans, everyone else will curse him. I think his works are not as good as this year's new erotic novel, Teacher by Rome. The gap is at least 100 years. A sock puppet was very vague propaganda. According to rumors, Zheng Hua did not actually completely stop writing. He also secretly wrote a novel under another pen name and published it on the internet, but it was a flop and no one read it at all. A sock puppet with sinister intentions started a rumor. At that time he read a novel which seemed to be called Teacher by Rome. As a result, he lamented that the new waves of the Yangtze River push the old waves, and the old waves die on the beach. He cried all night and felt ashamed of his inferiority. Since then, he has given up the plan to come out again. It's sad and lamentable that a master of a generation has fallen. I cried your sister as if it's true. A fan saw this post and immediately exploded. He was so angry in his heart that he desperately fought back. Don't spread rumors here. I have never heard of Master Zheng Hua writing novels under another sock puppet. He is already 60 or 70 years old. How could he still have such leisure time? Shameless poster. Zheng Hua is a master of an era. His novels have influenced many people. The current erotic novels are all written according to his ideas and can't escape his framework at all. Those younger generations are all eating his leftovers. You're just a small up-and-coming writer. You even dare to make a master feel inferior. How dare you do that? That's right, Master Zheng Hua is a god-level novelist with unparalleled influence. Several of his novels have been remade into TV series and movies with a box office of billions. How dare you slander him here and say that you can't understand it? Are you fucking blind? I'm sorry, the previous poster. The original poster crawled out of the mental hospital without taking his medication. I'll bring him back now. Everyone, I'm sorry. The original poster is my son. I didn't educate him properly before he was released. It's my fault for giving birth to this barbecued pork. If I had known this would happen, I would have shot him into the wall. A group of Master Zheng Hua's fans exploded in anger. This shameless OP was maliciously slandering him. He even said that Zheng Hua was ashamed of his inferiority after watching a newcomer's work. Motherfucker, how could a person be so shameless? Even spreading rumors shouldn't be like this. Seeing these words, these fans were so angry that they immediately posted to refute and scold the original poster. They wanted to scold this guy so much that he wouldn't be able to lift his head for the rest of his life. As a result, in just half an hour, the number of hits reached millions, and the number of replies reached 58,000, directly pushing this post to the first place. Of course, most of them were scolding the original poster. They scolded the original poster's 18 generations of ancestors. Xiaoping, this sock puppet, continued to open a new post. Everyone believe it. This novel of Teacher by Rong is 100 times better than all of Zheng Hua's works. This post desperately praised the novel of Teacher by Rong, but secretly trampled on Zheng Hua's works, disparaging these works as worthless and completely garbage. Go to hell, original poster. You want to beat Master Zheng Hua with this work? I wouldn't do this even in my dreams. Go and look at Zheng Hua's sales records before saying such things. I've never heard of this novel. I don't know where it came from. You want to beat Master Zheng Hua with this? This guy must be a fan of the novel's author. He came here specifically to be scolded. If he wants to be scolded, we will fulfill his wish. Didn't he say that this work is better than all of Master Zheng Hua's works? I want to see how good it is. Everyone, let's go and watch and wash his comment area with blood. Scold the author until he can't take care of himself. Yes, go and scold that bastard to death. He actually dares to come here to slander Master Zheng Hua. He doesn't know death. Everyone, I'm just a brick mover. As long as I see the author, I will definitely give him a brick on the back and wake him up from his daydream. A group of fans were angry, and the group's emotions were surging. The replies were very hot. Seeing these replies, Xiaoping didn't think much of it. Instead, he was very proud in his heart. This kind of hype was very popular on Earth in his previous life. There was also a professional term that is celebrity scamming. To put it simply, some very unpopular internet celebrities deliberately say some words to find trouble with those big stars, step on those celebrities, and increase a large number of fans for themselves. If the big star replied, it would increase his exposure. The more intense the discussion, the better it would be. It didn't matter if they didn't reply. Anyway, that group of fans wouldn't be able to stand it and would swarm to scold him, so his activity would also increase. In short, for small stars or those who are not famous, celebrity scamming is a very profitable thing. At least they can take advantage of this opportunity to let their names be known by the public and not be unknown forever. Although this approach is very shameless from the perspective of hype, there is no doubt that this is the best and most efficient way of publicity. So Xiaoping did the same and wrote provocative posts on the posts of other famous authors of erotic novels, stimulating those fans to explode. In this way, his novel Teacher by Rong had a very high exposure rate. After such a crazy hype, the effect was also very obvious. A large number of newly registered sock puppets appeared in the originally empty comment area of the novel. They were like an army, neat in uniform, desperately scolding Xiaoping. In just 1 hour, there were more than 500,000 replies in the comment area of the novel, increasing the number of hits of the novel by 3 million and adding 300,000. Success! Xiaoping clenched his fists. He knew that even if many people would scold him, there would definitely be a considerable number of people who would be curious and choose to subscribe to his novel. Chapter 16. 2 days later, one morning, Tianshui City 95th High School during break time. "I've finally finished writing." Xiaoping sat in his seat and stretched. After 3 days of constant hard work, he finally finished writing this 500,000-word novel. And in these 3 days he was not only writing novels, but also constantly hyping up the internet, stirring up topics everywhere, so that his novel appeared in the vision of countless netizens. The result was very successful. Almost all large forums in Chieba were discussing his novel, and even the name of his novel was on the hot search keywords, bringing him many readers. Ding! At this moment, a communication connection request rang in Xiaoping's mobile phone. He looked at it and saw that it was his editor, Meng Fei. With a snap, he clicked the connection. Immediately, the figure of a middle-aged man appeared in front of his retina. The current virtual projection technology was extremely advanced. It could be projected outside or projected onto the retina through the chip, so as to hide it and not be discovered by others. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf. Meng Fei's expression was extremely excited, and he could hardly suppress his excitement. He danced and shouted, "Your novel has become very popular, do you know that?" He couldn't believe what had happened in the past 3 days. Although he was very optimistic about Xiaoping's novel, the real effect would only be known after it was recommended. But who would have thought that Penguin had not started to promote Xiaoping's novel at all? But in the past 3 days, for some reason, the entire internet was full of topics about the novel Teacher by Rong, like boiling water. The click rate was rising, the number of collections was increasing wildly, and even the number of reader comments was rising like an airplane. Even the most popular novel in the entire Penguin could not compare to this new book. Previously, he thought that there was something wrong with the website's data. But after the technical department's investigation, they found that there was no problem and everything was very normal. Although he didn't know why this happened, Meng Fei was absolutely sure that this novel had become popular, and it was a phenomenal one that appeared once in a decade. "Oh," Xiaoping said faintly. Of course, he knew how popular his novel was on the internet because he was the mastermind behind it. He was the one who created such a topic, so naturally he was not surprised. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf. Seeing Xiaoping's calm expression, Meng Fei felt a little indignant and immediately said, "Didn't you see your author's backer? Your novel's sales over the past 3 days have gone through the roof. It even broke many of the sales records of Penguin's novels. This is the performance of a phenomenal work." Because this was an erotic novel, only readers over the age of 12 could read it, so it was sold from the first chapter, and there was no public chapter at all. It was precisely because of this that it had been on the shelves from the very beginning. An author's backer? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. For the past 3 days he had been busy writing novels and creating hype. As for uploading chapters, he had gotten rid of Meng Fei's editor. Therefore, he did not pay attention to his own author's background. "Hurry up and go take a look," Meng Fei urged. After listening, Xiaoping clicked on his author's platform, and countless notification messages immediately popped up. Congratulations to author Black-Hearted Wolf for accumulating 1,000 subscriptions, 1 million views, and 10,000 bookmarks. Congratulations to the author Black-Hearted Wolf for accumulating 10,000 subscriptions, 10 million views and 100,000 favorites. Congratulations to the author Black-Hearted Wolf for accumulating 30,000 subscriptions, 30 million views and 300,000 favorites. In the end, Xiaoping saw that his novel had actually received 223,565 subscriptions, and even the number of bookmarks had reached more than 2 million, and the number of clicks had exceeded 100 million. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, did you see that? 3 days, it's only 3 days and we haven't started any recommendations yet. And there are more than 200,000 subscriptions. This is really too exaggerated. Meng Fei was excited. I have been in the industry for more than 10 years, and I have never seen such data. It's too scary. What did more than 200,000 subscriptions mean? It meant that more than 200,000 people had bought all the chapters of the novel. Simply put, they had bought the book. In terms of physical books, it was equivalent to selling more than 200,000 books in 3 days. According to the pricing of novels on the internet, this book had a total of 500,000 words, which meant that the price of a book was 25 federal coins. In other words, in 3 days, the sales had reached more than 5 million federal coins. According to the website's 50-50 share, Xiaoping could at least get more than 2 million federal coins. And this was only the sales for 3 days. If the website continued to recommend it, over time more readers would come to buy it. Xiaoping finally knew why editor Meng Fei was so excited. In just 3 days he had sold more than 5 million federal coins, and he could personally earn more than 2 million federal coins. Anyone who saw this number would be excited. One must know that his father was an urban management officer, a government official with a monthly salary of 6,000 federal coins. He was already considered to be in the middle class of this society. But even so, it would take him 20 or 30 years to earn more than 2 million. But now, in 3 days, Xiaoping had earned such an income, which was equivalent to his father's 30 years of hard work. This was a bit scary. Even though Xiaoping knew that writing novels could make money, he didn't expect it to be so powerful, beyond his imagination. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf, Meng Fei said excitedly, this is just the beginning. If our website vigorously promotes this novel, it won't be a problem even if it reaches 10 million subscriptions. This year, it will definitely be the most popular erotic novel on Yanhuang Star. 10 million subscriptions, that was equivalent to selling 10 million books. Even on the Earth in his previous life, books with 10 million sales were considered extremely popular books. Of course, in Yanhuang Star, where the population had reached more than 30 billion and there were almost no pirated copies, there were also books with sales of more than 1 billion, and sales of 10 million were just reaching the level of popularity. However, for the category of erotic novels, sales of 10 million were already phenomenal. Even for a master novelist like Zheng Hua, the total sales of all his books only exceeded 100 million. Selling 10 million books? Xiaoping couldn't help clenching his fists, and his eyes couldn't help but be a little excited. Selling 10 million books, what kind of concept was that? The sales quota would reach 250 million federal coins, and he could earn 125 million, instantly becoming a billionaire. Chapter 17. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf. After reporting the good news to Xiaoping, editor Meng Fei calmed down and said, "Please wait and see. I will definitely let more readers see such an excellent work." After that, he hung up the video call. More than 200,000 subscriptions. This is really a little beyond imagination. Xiaoping was a little emotional. Even if he knew that his level of hype was very good, the popularity was a little beyond his control. But in this way, he can get a lot of money and have enough financial resources to buy all kinds of elixirs, monster meat, etc., to strengthen his martial arts cultivation. But although so many people have subscribed, I don't know what the reader's evaluation is like. Xiaoping gently clicked, and with a ding sound, the phone immediately projected a page and bounced in front of the table. This is his novel page on Penguin. He can also project this virtual web page on the retina, but this function is very harmful to the eyes. If it is not a private matter, he will generally not do this. Just now when he was chatting with editor Meng Fei, this kind of content was not suitable for others to know, so he activated the hidden function. Now it is just browsing the web page, so there is no need to do this. There are no abusive voices. Xiaoping glanced at the novel's comments section. 2 days ago, because of the celebrity scammer, many readers came to the comment section to curse, making the comment section foul. But 2 days later, those readers have long since calmed down and did not continue to comment. Those abusive comments were either deleted or sunk into the sea, drowned by countless comments. He casually looked at it. A reader's comment called "I am a big treasure sword" seemed to have been added by the administrator. When he opened it, it said, "Originally I was a fan of Zheng Hua. When I saw that this guy's readers dared to come and curse Master Zheng Hua, I was angry at that time. I gathered dozens of brothers to wash the comments section here. But then I thought about it carefully. I haven't read this guy's novel. I wanted to curse him, but there was no substance and it was not satisfying. So I wanted to spend some money to have a look. If it was not good, I would just treat it as feeding a dog. I didn't expect that after reading it, I would be stuck there like speculating in the stock market. I can't get out of it until now. This novel has a magical power. It's terrible. I'm still a little trembling now. Isn't it? I was also tricked by that article on the forum. After reading the first chapter, it was as if I had eaten an ancient elixir, my xian. I couldn't stop at all. It's a good book. This is the best novel I've read this year. I don't know how many movies this author has watched all year round and how many women he's played with. He actually has such a deep foundation. He's definitely a veteran. If he's not, I'll eat shit on live broadcast. You all praise him, but I want to scold him. This author was too shameless and black-hearted. No wonder he was called Blackheart Wolf. Writing such articles all day was harming others and oneself. My family lived in the slums, and my income was only average. Ever since I read this novel, I've run out of NutriExpress at home. I can't keep up with my nutrition at all. I have 2 panda eyes and haven't left the house for 3 days. My mom is so angry that she wants to kick me out of the house. I'm 100% sure that this author is a beast. He started playing with women at the age of 9, had 5 or 6 girlfriends at the age of 12, and brought women to hotels at the age of 15. Now that he's in his 30s or 40s, he's already an experienced playboy with countless experiences. He even achieved the great feat of killing 10,000 people. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to write such an experienced article at all. After all, even I, a veteran who has read countless women, was fascinated by such a novel. You can imagine how terrifying it is. Damn, he's been playing with women since he was 9 years old. This author is a beast. Everyone, don't go astray. This is just speculation. Don't listen to rumors. Although it's speculation, I think there's 70% to 80% certainty. A group of readers were replying below. There were at least thousands of comments on this topic alone, and the discussion was very hot. There was also a reader named I Am Potato who wrote a post. Reading this novel has brought a great shock to my soul. Although it is an erotic novel, it goes beyond the category of erotic novels. I would say that it is actually a literary work that criticizes realism. The protagonist, Bai Rong, is a glorious teacher with a family and a husband. But her husband is very incompetent and cowardly. At the same time, her career prospects are hindered. Her husband can't understand her, nor can he help her, and her friends are not around. At this time, her heart is very empty and lonely. This is a lonely woman, and she's also beautiful. Although it's very sad, there will be many rumors about beautiful women. Whether you like it or not, there will be all kinds of rumors that are not good for you. This is jealousy, the darkness of society, and at the same time it also puts more pressure on the heroine. It's a pity that her incompetent husband can't help her and understand her. So she later had an affair. This affair was so natural, so natural. She had a relationship with many men, including the headmaster, the bureau chief, colleagues, local ruffians, first lovers, and even students. But I don't think this is her fault. This should be the fault of this society. It's the oppression and injustice of this society that made her like this. As we all know, even in this era of extremely advanced technology, women still live under all kinds of discrimination and are bound by many traditional rules. Because of this, many women suppress their inner needs and compromise, which limits women's talent for free growth and has also caused many tragedies of this era. I think the author wants to use this novel to satirize society's various injustices by using the heroine Bai Rong's image. She criticizes the current evils and shows a shocking scene. At the end of reading, I was already in tears and couldn't stop for a long time. Now I don't want to know what the heroine's future ending will be. I just think that there are thousands of similar women in society who are also living in the abyss of suffering like Byron. I feel heartache and can't sleep at night. Big Brother. This is just a pornographic novel. The author didn't actually think so much. The original poster is so talented to see so much social significance from an erotic novel. Please accept my knees. After reading the original poster's comments, I'm full of admiration. I need to go back to elementary school to review my reading comprehension. The original poster is right. There are still many such women living in the abyss of suffering in the world. I plan to call a few of them up tonight and spend some money to save them. I feel the same way. In fact, I also cried, but in different places. Is there really an emotional scene? Why do I feel like it's all action scenes? A group of readers replied. Xiaoping read the replies of these readers and felt that his worldview had been refreshed several times. Xiaoping. Chapter 18. What's the matter? Xiaoping blinked his eyes and looked at Zhang Yaru. There's something I want to inform you. Zhang Yaru said, in 3 days the school will hold a martial arts fighting competition. Each of our third-year classes has 10 places, and one of the places was originally for Yang Wei. But now he has been arrested by the police and can't come out in a short time. So I want to ask you, do you want to participate in this school fighting competition? Speaking of this, her face was very strange. It seemed that Yang Wei was arrested by the police because of this guy. Thinking about it, Yang Wei was originally a good student, but he didn't expect to provoke this bad guy, and his reputation was ruined. I don't know what Yang Wei will become after he gets out of prison. School fighting competition? Xiaoping's eyes flickered. He has also heard of this competition. This is an annual school martial arts competition. Almost all the outstanding students in the school will participate. If you can win, you will get a reward. Of course, the school's reward is nothing at all. What's important is that if you can get the top 10 in this school fighting competition, you will be eligible to represent 95th High School in the high school fighting competition in Tianshui City. This is a competition where the top experts of all the high schools in Tianshui City gather together. It is unknown how many spectators it attracts, and the rewards are very generous. If you win, you will even have the opportunity to enter the army to gain experience and enhance your strength. Every year, any student who has the opportunity to show strong strength in the Tianshui City High School fighting competition has a high chance of entering Yanhuang University. These things originally had nothing to do with Xiaoping, and he didn't pay much attention to them, but now it's different. Maybe he can use this competition to increase more hatred and enhance his own strength. If I represent the class in this school fighting competition, won't the others have any objections? Thinking of this, Xiaoping looked at Zhang Yaru and asked. Of course not. Zhang Yaru shook his head. Because you have defeated Xiong Badian and shown your strength. With such a record, I believe other students will not have any objections. This is also normal. The proof of martial arts strength is the record. Who you can defeat represents how strong you are. Although Xiaoping was mediocre before, he recently defeated Xiong Badian on the Flying Dragon Experience platform, which is a record. Even in Class 12, there are not many students who can defeat Xiong Badian. So Xiaoping can represent the class in the competition, and others can't have any objections. Even if he really had an opinion, all he had to do was say, "Can you defeat Xiong Badian?" This way the others would have nothing to say. But until now, Zhang Yaru still felt that it was inconceivable. Xiaoping, who originally had an ordinary performance and had no special characteristics, had actually silently advanced to the 4th heavenly layer of martial disciple, and even defeated a powerhouse like Xiong Badian. This was really too strange. What the hell happened? Alright, I agree. Xiaoping immediately said. With such an opportunity, he absolutely could not miss it. Alright, I'll report your name. Zhang Yaru nodded, but she still couldn't help but ask Xiaoping, I've noticed that you haven't been paying attention in class lately. What are you doing? Nothing much. I'm just writing a novel, Xiaoping replied casually. Write a novel? Zhang Yaru's beautiful eyes widened as she looked at Xiaoping in disbelief. According to her understanding, this guy was clearly a language idiot who would fall asleep after reading for less than 3 minutes. How could he know such a high-level thing as writing a novel? It was the same before. How did this bastard advance to the fourth heavenly layer so quickly? What happened to him? Soon she noticed a page projected on Xiaoping's desk. Her heart moved and she asked, "Could it be that your novel was published on Penguin? You wrote this work? What exactly is written on it?" With a snap, Xiaoping immediately closed the page and said with a straight face, "What I write has nothing to do with you. You should go back and study. Don't be a hindrance here, okay?" His expression was strange. If Zhang Yaru knew what kind of novel he was writing, she would probably want to eat him alive, so this matter had to be concealed. "I'm a hindrance." Hearing this, Zhang Yaru was so angry that she almost died. Her charming face turned red. "Xiaoping, you've defeated Xiong Badian and your tail is already sticking up. You actually think I'm a hindrance? Now you've grown some ability, haven't you?" Since they were young, she had always been a head above Xiaoping. She had excellent grades, was all-powerful in sports, and was even the school belle. It had always been her who thought Xiaoping was a hindrance. There had never been a time when Xiaoping thought she was a hindrance. But now this bastard was starting to get cocky. He actually dared to say that she, Zhang Yaru, was a hindrance. How preposterous. It's not what you think it is. It's hard for me to explain anything to you. You don't understand this novel anyway, so there's no point in explaining it to you. Xiaoping wanted to send Zhang Yaru away as soon as possible. If they continued talking, things would get out of hand. His novel really couldn't be casually read by anyone, especially women. Don't understand. Hearing these words, Zhang Yaru became even angrier. She was an outstanding student whose grades were in the top 10 of the school. Her language grades were also top-notch. What kind of novel couldn't she understand? Even if it was an ancient language, she could still translate it a little. Clearly, this bastard's ego had swelled up after defeating Xiong Badian. He didn't put anyone in his eyes. That was why he said such big words. He didn't even put her, Zhang Yaru, in his eyes. Fine. Since you don't want me to read it, then I'll go and read it. I'll see just what kind of things you, Xiaoping, have written to be so cocky. You're too arrogant. Zhang Yaru decided. Not only was she going to read this bastard Xiaoping's novel, she was going to seriously read it. At the same time, she was going to write a review of this bastard's writing. She wanted him to stop being so cocky and learn to be humble. There were many capable people in this world. You're not the only one. Teacher Byron? That should be the name. But the name of the novel is quite elegant. Could it be that it's specifically about school life? Is it about the bond between a student and a teacher? Or is it about the moving story of a teacher's hard work in educating a student? Or perhaps it's about the school's workplace struggles. But I didn't expect this guy to be so sentimental. He's actually starting to write literary novels. Even if it was just a glance, with Zhang Yaru's powerful dynamic vision and profound martial arts cultivation, she was still able to remember the contents of the page in an instant. There was nothing she could hide. Thinking up to here, she fiercely glared at Xiaoping and returned to her seat. She's finally gone. Seeing that she wasn't going to pursue the matter, Xiaoping also let out a sigh of relief. Chapter 19. Night Bedroom. A web page was projected in the air. Xiaoping was sitting on the bed, and this page listed a series of supplements, monster meat, and precious elixirs. 3 days later, the school's fighting competition would begin. If he only relied on the strength of the fourth layer, he probably wouldn't be able to enter the top 10 of the school. Although Xiong Badian was a school bully and powerful, he was only at the 5th layer. He couldn't be ranked in the top 10 of the school at all. There were even powerhouses at the 6th and 7th layer in the school, who were far more powerful than Xiong Badian. According to Xiaoping's current cultivation of the 4th layer, it was still relatively difficult to enter the top 10 of the school, so he had to strengthen his cultivation in order to stand out among the many students. Golden Potion. Xiaoping saw a kind of life potion introduced on the page. This golden potion was made from the hearts of dozens of monsters such as berserk bears, flying tigers, unicorn wolves, and dozens of other monsters as materials, plus 49 kinds of precious elixirs. It was refined after countless processing procedures. It was extremely precious and contained a huge amount of energy. It could be said that taking such a life potion, even if you were to advance from the 4th layer to the 5th layer, it would not be a problem at all. Unfortunately, this was a forbidden medicine. The reason why it was listed as a forbidden medicine was because the energy contained in the golden potion was too violent. It had the power of a tiger or wolf. If someone with insufficient strength were to inject this golden potion, they would immediately explode from the energy and explode into pieces. Therefore, people who wanted to buy the golden potion must be above the 7th layer of martial arts. Those who had not reached this realm of martial arts could not buy it. This had been strictly prohibited by federal law. Golden potion, this is the most suitable thing for me. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. For ordinary people, this golden potion was too violent. Those who had not reached the 7th layer of martial arts would die if they took it. But he was different. He cultivated the pure yang immortal art, and could even tame violent energy like the essence of the sun. The energy of a mere golden potion was nothing. It could be said that if he wanted to advance to the 5th layer of martial arts as soon as possible, this golden potion was the most suitable choice. Unfortunately, he was not qualified to buy it for the time being. It seems that there is no way to buy it from the regular way. I can only go to the black market. Xia Ping stared at the page. A businessman once said that the most profitable thing was selling prohibited items. The more it was banned, the more profitable it was, and the more people would engage in such illegal activities. Everything was for the sake of federal coin, so the gold potion was still circulating in the market. However, if he wanted to buy it, he could only go to the black market. Black Moon City. Xia Ping clicked on a post that introduced the city. This is the most famous underworld city in the Yangzhou district. It's a mix of good and bad with many bars and casinos. Countless gangs live in this city. In this city, betrayal, fighting, drugs, blood, and death were all commonplace. There were also many benefits to be gained here. Prohibited items, prohibited weapons, monster meat, medicinal pills, spirit herbs, martial arts techniques, and so on could all be traded. There were no barriers to entry. As long as one had money, one could buy anything they wanted here. This is heaven, but it is also hell. It is a place where wealth gathers, but it is also a paradise for crime. Countless evil people live in this place. Good people should not come here, or else they will regret it for the rest of their lives. He also did not know why the federal government would allow such a criminal city to exist so openly. Perhaps there were some unknown transactions involved, but in any case, existence was reason. But a gold potion is too expensive. It actually costs 500,000 federal coins. This is robbery. Xia Ping looked at the price and was a little dumbfounded. What kind of concept was 500,000 federal coins? For a middle-class person like his old man, it would take him 7 years to buy it even if he did not eat or drink. This was already the down payment for a house. But this was just a potion. From this, it could be seen how profiteering this industry was. If he had not earned a large sum of money from writing novels, he would not even have the right to buy it. He would only be able to watch. Looks like I need to contact editor Meng Fei and see if I can get some money in advance. Otherwise, I won't be able to buy it. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. He immediately contacted editor Meng Fei through his communicator and told him in detail that he wanted to get his royalties in advance. 10 minutes later, editor Meng Fei replied, originally, this is not in line with the rules because the company has its own regulations. The royalties can only be paid on the 15th of every month. After all, there is a need to pay taxes and so on. Paying in advance is very troublesome and will affect a series of the company's procedures. But I have discussed it with the chief editor and the company's finance staff. You also have your own difficulties, so we will treat it as a special case. We can give you 1 million federal coins in advance, and the rest will be calculated next month. But don't do it again. It was indeed a special case. In fact, if Xia Ping's novel had not suddenly become popular and become a phenomenal work with a limitless future, the other party would probably not even be willing to pay attention to his request. But in order to keep this phenomenal writer Xia Ping, they were willing to provide some convenience. This was a privilege. Thank you. Xia Ping also knew that his request was a little unreasonable, but in order to buy the gold potion, he could only do this. Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf. When will your next work be published? Editor Meng Fei asked impatiently, because this Teacher by Rong novel was really too popular. This morning there were already more than 200,000 people who bought this book, but by night, there were more than 300,000 people. This kind of increase was simply terrifying. At least 6 to 7 million federal coins had been sold, and this was just the beginning. Perhaps by the time this craze ended, it would be a piece of cake to achieve sales of 10 million copies. If he continued to write his next novel, taking advantage of this momentum, it would definitely continue to be popular. For Penguin, this was also a huge opportunity to increase their sales. Personally, Meng Fei also wanted to see more outstanding works. He was extremely looking forward to it. I don't have any inspiration at the moment, probably at least a month later, Xia Ping said. The profits of this book had not been maximized yet, and he was not in a hurry to publish a second novel. All right. Then I will wait for Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf's next masterpiece. Although editor Meng Fei felt that it was a pity, he also knew that writing a novel could not be written immediately. This required inspiration. With a smack, the two ended the communication. Tomorrow is Friday, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that is Planet Saturday and Sunday. I can take advantage of Friday night to leave for Black Moon City and buy the gold potion. Xia Ping thought about the plan for the next 2 days. Ding! At this moment his phone received a message. Xia Ping glanced at it and said, "Your account has been transferred 1 million federal coins. Please check." The next morning Xia Ping went to school. Just as he was about to enter the classroom, he was immediately stopped by someone. He turned around and saw Zhang Yara glaring at him with eyes filled with anger, as if he wanted to kill someone. Xia Ping. Chapter 20. Good morning. Xia Ping greeted her. He felt a little strange. Why did Zhang Yara look so angry? Could it be that she was on her period? He heard that during this period, women's tempers were a bit fickle and shouldn't be provoked casually. Good my ass. As expected, Zhang Yara was in a very bad mood. She even had a pair of panda eyes, as if she hadn't slept for the whole night. She revealed an expression of grief and indignation, and her fair and tender face was flushed red. You bastard, just what did you show me? How could you write such a shameless novel? She was about to go crazy. Last night, she went to Penguin to search for this novel, and even spent $25 federal to buy it. She wanted to read from beginning to end what this guy had written. He was actually so cocky. This morning, he even put on an expression that looked down on her. Who would have thought that from the first chapter the content was a bit abnormal? It wasn't a school novel, a workplace novel, nor a literary novel. It was actually a shameless erotic novel. As a top student, and with excellent academic performance, she had read countless books. Naturally, she knew what an erotic novel was. To be honest, Zhang Yara had no prejudice against this kind of novel. She thought that its existence was reasonable. Although she didn't like reading this kind of novel, she wouldn't stop others from reading it. The problem was that reading it was one thing and writing it was another. Can you imagine? This bastard Xia Ping was only a high school student, only 18 years old. It was the period of an innocent youth like a piece of white paper. But this guy actually wrote such a shameless novel. What was going on in his head? Was this the dirty thoughts in a man's heart? She also knew that a man's heart was dirty. But the average man would only think about it in his heart and wouldn't show it. But this shameless Xia Ping was different. He was a beast. He actually turned his thoughts into action, wrote it out, and even published it on the internet for countless readers to see. This kind of behavior was too terrible. When did Xia Ping become such a shameless and obscene man? In a few years, maybe he would embark on the road of crime. You read my novel? Xia Ping was a little stunned. He didn't expect Zhang Yara to actually run over to read it. Looking at her appearance, it wasn't as simple as a casual glance. It seemed that she had read it from beginning to end in detail. That's right, I watched it from the beginning to the end. Zhang Yara's face turned red as she glared at Xia Ping. Her heart was filled with guilt. Originally, she had rejected such a shameless novel. In her heart, she had criticized it. Just what was so great about such a novel? If you want to read such a novel, you might as well watch a movie. But how could she have imagined that this novel was so well written that it caught her eye so quickly? She felt that she couldn't stop and was completely engrossed in it. It was as if the heroine Bai Rong's emotions, her inner struggle, her weakness and helplessness, and her strength were all presented in front of her. It seemed as if she was being played by different men, but in fact wasn't she dealing with different men and playing with other men? Moreover, the description was very wonderful and vivid. What do you think? Xiaoping was very interested in this. Originally, he thought that this kind of novel was only read by men, but in fact there were many women who liked to read it. In fact, women seem to be more interested in it than men. It's not good at all. It's terrible to the extreme. This novel completely reveals the dirty thoughts in your heart. If you dare to take it one step further, then you'll be a criminal and will definitely be caught by the police. Zhang Yara glared at Xiaoping, her face red. In fact, it was because she had stayed up all night reading this novel that she had a pair of panda eyes today. The content of the novel was too stimulating for a pure girl like her. It was as if she hadn't graduated from elementary school and had to do a university exam. It was too difficult and she was instantly beaten down. It was hard to imagine how this bastard came up with such a realistic plot. It was hard to write something like this without experiencing it. Could it be that this bastard looked like he didn't have any luck with women on the surface, but was in fact an expert at playing with women? At the age of 12, he'd already had a foot in several boats. At the age of 15, he'd already brought women to hotels. At the age of 18, he'd already reached the realm of passing through 10,000 flowers, leaving not a single leaf on his body. Zhang Yara couldn't help but think this way. She looked at Xiaoping with a face full of suspicion. Even if she and Xiaoping were childhood friends, there were still many things she didn't understand about him. For example, when Xiaoping had advanced to the 4th layer of martial disciple. This was something she didn't know. It's terrible? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Looks like you still don't understand it. I think only men can understand it. Who doesn't understand it? Hearing this, Zhang Yaru immediately became angry. I'm telling you, this is nothing special. The so-called art comes from life, and is higher than life. Weight comes from life. Zhang Yaru was shocked. She seemed to have thought of a very frightening thing. Because the main character of the story seemed to be her teacher, and her teacher Choshu was a great beauty. Although as a woman she was very unwilling, she couldn't help but admit that Choshu was beautiful and had a fiery figure. Her body was filled with the aura of a mature woman. There were many pursuers in the school. Even some of the students in the school had a crush on her. Even she, as a woman, was looking forward to seeing her teacher. And Xiaoping liking Choshu was also a very normal thing. Could it be that because he liked Choshu too much it developed to a perverted degree, and he couldn't vent it out in reality so he wrote this novel? The main character's name also seemed to have a great relationship. Bai was shui and Rong was actually hibiscus. Hibiscus flowers only bloomed in autumn. When these two words were put together, didn't it mean Choshu? My God, this was too much of a beast. To actually have such improper thoughts about her teacher. No wonder this beautiful teacher remarried her student at the end of the novel. So it was all because of this. If Choshu knew about this and knew that her student wrote a novel just because he liked her, she would probably go crazy. She also looked at the number of hits of the novel. It seemed to be over 100 million. It was very popular. Who knew how many people on the internet had already read this novel? Beast, I didn't think you were this kind of person. I really misjudged you. If this matter is found out by the teacher, what will happen? Can you take responsibility? Zhang Yara glared at Xiaoping. Responsibility? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. He didn't understand Zhang Yara's words. He just wanted to write a novel to make money. Why would he need to take responsibility? Chapter 21. What? Take responsibility. What exactly happened that Xiaoping has to take responsibility for? A few of the nearby students immediately heard Zhang Yara's words and immediately started gossiping. Yeah, this matter can't even be known by the teacher. Just what kind of bad thing is it? A student was also very curious. They had been paying attention to the conversation between Xiaoping and Zhang Yaru. It couldn't be helped. The school bell was always the center of attention, no matter where she went. I just saw Zhang Yaru. She rushed over in a huff early in the morning with 2 panda eyes. She probably hasn't slept all night and is under a lot of pressure. A student was very observant. I didn't think she would find Xiaoping to settle the score as soon as she arrived. She caught him outside on the spot, as if she was catching an adulterer. I'm guessing the two of them are having an affair. Guessing my ass, it's obvious something big has happened. A male student angrily said. He already has to take responsibility, so what else is there to say? It must be that scumbag Xiaoping who abandoned Zhang Yaru and took her to a hotel, causing her to get pregnant and have an accident. That's why Zhang Yaru wants him to take responsibility. Many of the students' expressions changed. It wasn't impossible. Looking at Zhang Yaru's angry eyes and her flushed red face, she looked like a tearful pear blossom. No matter how they looked at her, she looked like a woman who was 3 months pregnant and had been abandoned by her husband. Impossible, that bastard Xiaoping is average-looking and comes from a poor family. How could he pick up the school bell, Zhang Yaru? Even I don't have the qualifications, how could he have the qualifications? A student didn't believe it, so he desperately tried to explain, telling the surrounding students not to believe such an absurd guess. What's there to not believe? I heard long ago that Xiaoping and Zhang Yaru are neighbors and have known each other since they were young. They were childhood sweethearts and the two developed feelings for each other. Then on a dark and windy night, when their parents weren't home, they started a fire and couldn't be stopped. Holy shit, I've seen this scene on TV. Now that you mention it, it's really vivid. This is the so-called, the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. Don't look at Xiaoping's ugly appearance. There are no advantages all over his body, but the advantage of being a neighbor is too great. We are not on the same level at all. It's probably because of that drywood blazing flame. In the end, he won the bid. A single misstep brings everlasting regret. No wonder she's under a lot of pressure. She even has panda eyes. A high school girl getting pregnant is a big news event. Shameless Xiaoping. He already got Zhang Yaru pregnant and hooked up with the school bell, and he's still not satisfied. He actually wants to abandon her after having used her. He's trying to anger both men and gods. According to the grapevine, Xiaoping might have another woman in another school. He's in love with 5 or 6 women. What a scumbag. He also has women in other schools. I didn't expect that this Xiaoping, who looks very honest, is such a person. Many students were talking about it, and the crowd's emotions were surging. Some of the more sinister ones were even spreading rumors, saying that Xiaoping had a foot in several boats. All of a sudden the class was boiling. Hearing the words around her, Zhang Yaru's face turned as red as a tomato. She never thought that her words would be misunderstood to such an extent. She clearly didn't mean that at all. All right, if you have anything to say, we can talk about it when we get home. Don't cause trouble here lest others laugh at you. Although Xiaoping didn't know why Zhang Yaru was so angry, he didn't want to be gossiped about. If you have anything to say, we can talk about it at home. Many of the students were shocked. Wasn't this a conversation between an old husband and wife? Usually, when a husband and wife were quarreling outside and were surrounded by people, the husband would talk to his wife like this. In that kind of scene, the two's expressions were so similar to what they were right now. This was the tacit understanding that had been cultivated for a long time. The atmosphere between them was like that of an old husband and wife. This was a public display of affection. Oh my God, I don't want to live anymore. A fresh flower stuck in cow dung. Let's talk about it when we get home. The two of them are probably living together. What a beast. They're only high school students and they're already living together. In ancient times, they'd be drowned in a pig cage. It must be that beast Xiaoping who insisted on it. Zhang Yaru isn't someone who would do such a thing. It's all that bastard Xiaoping's fault. If it weren't for him, this wouldn't have happened. I hope that Xiaoping will explode on the plains, get struck by lightning, or get hit by a car. Raise your hand if you agree. Today is the darkest day of 95th High. It's comparable to the early days of the cataclysm. I haven't even confessed yet, and the goddess is already pregnant. Is there anything worse than this in this world? Many students wailed, as if their hearts had been shattered. They were heartbroken, and their hatred for Xiaoping skyrocketed. Huh. Xiaoping blinked. He could clearly hear the system's constant notification. It seemed like his hatred was increasing, and it was surging. This. Zhang Yaru also heard the words of the surrounding students. She felt that this misunderstanding was too big. But all of this was caused by this bastard Xiaoping. She gritted her teeth and glared at Xiaoping. Xiaoping rubbed his chin and said, "Don't worry, I'm not an irresponsible man. Things have already reached this point, so I'll definitely take responsibility." Just what are you talking about? Zhang Yaro almost fainted. What she said and this bastard said were completely different things. The surrounding students went into an uproar. Sure enough, the relationship between these two had reached this point. Had it already reached the stage where they needed to talk about taking responsibility? All right, class has already started. If there's anything else, we can talk about it later. Xiaoping waved his hand, not wanting to continue the conversation. Talk my ass. If they continued, it would become a scandal. Zhang Yaro angrily glared at Xiaoping. She lifted her foot and fiercely stomped on Xiaoping, then turned around and left in a huff. She also knew that she couldn't continue. Otherwise, who knew what kind of rumors would spread? And this scandal spread very quickly. Because Zhang Yaro's popularity was too high, she had many fans in school. In just an hour, it had spread throughout the entire school. Did you hear? Zhang Yaro has a boyfriend and she's pregnant. My God. Is this for real? This kind of thing is too explosive. I don't believe it. How could something like this happen? Just who is her boyfriend? It seems to be a classmate, a guy called Xiaoping. The one who defeated Xiong Batian? That's right, it's him. I heard that he slept around and then abandoned. He also has more than a dozen women outside of school. 7 or 8 of them are pregnant, and Zhang Yaro is one of them. What a beast. A high school student doing something like this. He's not a human, he's a pig. I want to chop him to death. Don't worry, there are at least a few thousand people in school who want to chop him to death. You'll have to wait in line. Shameless Xiaoping. He has a foot in more than a dozen boats and bullies the school's beauty. He's the shame of the school. How could Zhang Yaro like this kind of man? She really has no taste. Women will always be cheated by scum. This is also a kind of experience. Experience my ass. Why don't you experience me? I hope that scum Xiaoping explodes on the spot and gets hacked to death by an angry woman. Chapter 22. After school in the afternoon. When Xiaoping left the classroom, he found that the students around him seemed to be pointing at him, as if he was a rare panda, and he unknowingly became a celebrity. Look, that's the legendary Xiaoping. It doesn't look like much. How did he get the school belle pregnant? You can't judge a book by its cover. Maybe he was drugged. It's very possible that this guy is a criminal at a glance. Sooner or later, he will be caught by the police. It is said that 2 people in their class were caught by the police for running naked in school, and were detained for 7 days. Birds of a feather flock together. This guy is definitely not a good bird. The surrounding students whispered among themselves as they sized up Xiaoping. So that's how it is. Is it related to that scandal? Xiaoping didn't expect that the scandal would spread so fast. In just one day, it seemed that everyone in the school knew about it. With a ding, the system reminded, "Congratulations to the host so far. You have gained a total of 736 hatred points." What? 736 hatred points? Xiaoping was speechless. A few days ago, he opened the map cannon and ridiculed countless people, and he also went to the Flying Dragon experience platform, but he only got 200 or 300 hatred points. But now, just a rumor has gotten so many hatred points. Is it so much that he and the school belle are hated by so many people? It's too much nonsense. But in fact, it's also true that an ordinary person has hooked up with the school belle for no reason, and she is also a very popular beauty. No matter how you look at it, it's a thing that makes people envious and jealous. Could it be that I don't need to taunt others to get hatred points at all, just pick up girls? Xiaoping seriously thought about the feasibility of this matter. You are Xiaoping. Suddenly, a dignified voice came from the side. Xiaoping turned his head and immediately saw a 1.8-meter-tall student with a perfect physique and handsome appearance. He had an oppressive aura about him. He came from a distance, followed by 5 or 6 followers, all of whom were tall and exuded a strong martial arts aura. The students around did not dare to stop them and made way for them. Isn't he Zhou Tai and of grade 12 class 1? It is said that he has reached the realm of the 6th heaven of martial arts, ranked in the top 3 in the school, and practiced the intermediate martial arts Wuxia fist, stronger than Xiong Batian. Not only is his talent amazing, but it seems that his family is also very rich. He opened a 5-star hotel in Tianshui City with assets of more than 100 million. He even drives a luxury car worth hundreds of thousands to class. He's also handsome. He's the school hunk of 95th High. Who knows how many girls like him? It's a pity that the one he likes is Zhang Yaru. He's been chasing after her and has rejected countless confessions. This is interesting. Isn't that brat Xiaoping Zhang Yaru's rumored boyfriend? They're getting ready to fight. Many students discussed, their eyes revealing a gossipy atmosphere. It was clear that this Zhou Tai'an was angry. He wanted to find trouble with Xiaoping. Why are you looking for me? Xiaoping looked at Zhou Tai'an, who was walking towards him. Zhou Tai'an stared at Xiaoping. You should know why I came looking for you. It's about Zhang Yaru. His eyes shone brightly, as if he wanted to see through all of Xiaoping's secrets, emitting a powerful pressure. I've also heard some rumors in school, but I don't believe them. Zhang Yaru isn't that kind of girl, but I'm only here to tell you one thing. Stop bothering her. His tone was extremely overbearing. You came here to warn me? Xiaoping frowned. Zhou Tai'an sneered. That's right, I'm warning you. Don't think that you're so great just because you defeated Xiong Badian. He's just a clown in school. He can't even be seen in public. To put it bluntly, he's just a hoodlum. I didn't deal with him before because he didn't offend my dignity, not because I can't afford to offend him. I've also investigated you. Your father is called Xiachuan Lu. He's just a city manager. Your mother is called Huang Lanxin. She's just a street vendor. Your family's monthly income is 7 or 8,000 federal coins at most, and they even have hundreds of thousands in loans. Zhang Yaru is different. She's a true genius, a proud daughter of the heavens. Her future stage isn't in the small Tianshui city, but in Yanhuang University, in the cloud world. She and you aren't born in the same world. Your family's background isn't good, and your studies are ordinary. At most, you can get into a second-rate university. How can someone like you give Zhang Yaru happiness in the future? You have to know your own limits, do you understand? His expression was incomparably arrogant, as if he was standing on a high mountain looking down at Xiaoping. He had an insurmountable sense of superiority. Hearing Zhou Tai'an's righteous expression, Xiaoping laughed. But it was a cold laugh. Zhou Tai'an, do you think that just because people say you're the most handsome guy in school, that you're the strongest in school, and that your family has power and influence, you can become a police officer and interfere with my business? Other people flatter you and fawn over you, that's their business. In my eyes, you're not even worth a fart. Let's not talk about whether or not Zhang Yaru and I are related. Even if we are, so what? I, Xiaoping, don't need to explain what I want to do or what I like. He just looked at Zhou Tai'an, his eyes cold and emotionless. You. Zhou Tai'an's pupils shrank. He didn't think this brat would be so daring. Not only did he ignore him, but he also dared to talk back to him, making him lose face. He was a tyrant in school and had many underlings. Even the teachers gave him face and treated him with respect. But this brat actually dared to say he wasn't even worth a fart? This made him feel very angry. Xiaoping, you're too arrogant. Who do you think Boss Zhou is? Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to Boss Zhou like that? You dare say Boss Zhou isn't even worth a fart? Then who do you think you are? You think you're invincible just because you defeated a little hoodlum like Xiong Badian? There are many people in this world. You're nothing. The group of underlings cursed and glared at Xiaoping. Zhou Tai'an was a true top student. His grades were in the top 3 of the school. Who did this Xiaoping think he was? He actually dared to compare himself to Zhou Tai'an. This was too ridiculous. Xiaoping. Zhou Tai'an's face revealed a trace of coldness. I've seen many people who know how to talk. You're not one of them. Some people say they're invincible, but when they do things, they're powerless. I heard you'll also be representing the class in the school's fighting competition this time. You better pray that you don't meet me, or else I'll let you see the difference between a genius and an ordinary person. I'm someone you'll never be able to compare to, understand? He clenched his fists, making popping sounds. She shot out in all directions. His entire body emitted a terrifying aura like that of a ferocious beast. The surrounding students couldn't help but take a few steps back. But Xiaoping didn't say anything. He just looked at him, not affected in the slightest. Let's go. Chapter 23. Tianshui City Station. An ordinary young man who didn't seem to have any special characteristics appeared in this place. He was Xiaoping, but his appearance was completely different from before. That was because he had bought a human skin mask from a store. This was actually a high-tech facial mask that could transform into all kinds of faces when placed on one's face. This was very popular among children. It could be considered a kind of toy, and one could be bought for 20 federal coins. The reason why he bought the human skin mask was because Black Moon City was simply too dangerous. The place where the underworld gathered was incomparably chaotic and complicated. It was best not to appear in Black Moon City with one's true appearance. In fact, many people who went to Black Moon City would change their appearance in order to avoid all kinds of dangers. This was also a kind of self-protection technique. I must buy the golden potion back. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He thought of Zhou Tai's arrogant appearance just now, and he couldn't help but feel a trace of anger rise in his heart. If he had the strength to surpass the other party, would this Zhou Tai still dare to be so arrogant? Relying on his cultivation of the 6th layer of martial disciple, relying on his own family background, he humiliated him in such a way, unscrupulously and completely not putting him in his eyes. He would remember this debt. When he returned from Black Moon City, he would definitely pay back double. Thinking of this, Xiaoping immediately boarded the hover train. From Tianshui City to Black Moon City, the two cities were separated by more than 1,000 kilometers. But with the hover train speed of more than 1,000 kilometers, it only took a little more than an hour to arrive, and he didn't feel any tremors throughout the entire journey. Of course, the price was also expensive, 4 or 5,000 federal coins to buy a ticket. But for the current Xiaoping, this price was still within an acceptable range. More than an hour later, Xiaoping arrived at Black Moon City Station. As soon as he got off, he immediately felt the atmosphere here was completely different from Tianshui City. The first feeling he felt was chaos. The ground was littered with plastic trash, paper scraps, colorful beverage cans, and so on. They flew around in the strong wind and made clanking sounds. The white walls were covered with graffiti, and there were many strange drawings. It was very horrifying. It was as if there were no cleaners working around the station. Moreover, there were a lot of people and it was very complicated. All kinds of men appeared in this place. Most of them had ferocious expressions, and their shoulders were tattooed with skeletons, tigers, cheetahs, and other scary tattoos. Their bodies were bulging with muscles, and they wore sleeveless shirts. The hair on their heads and bodies was also colorful like a chicken coop. It was very messy, and of course some of them were bald. There were also a lot of prostitutes around the station, wearing very revealing clothes that highlighted various key parts. Their faces were covered with heavy makeup, ranging from teenage girls to aunties in their 40s and 50s. Once a man came out, they would enthusiastically come up to him and ask if he wanted to stay. Xiaoping also saw that the situation was not good. Before these aunties surrounded him, he quickly left. Otherwise, he didn't know where he would be fooled by these prostitutes. By the way, according to the map, the Black Bear Corporation seems to be not far from the station. Xiaoping clicked on his phone and immediately displayed a nearby map. The so-called Black Bear Corporation was the place where Xiaoping decided to buy the golden potion. On the surface, it was a legally registered company in the Federation, but in reality, it was just a shell company. In the dark, they did some smuggling. In fact, this Black Bear Corporation could be considered a relatively large underworld organization in Black Moon City, with over 10,000 official members and countless underlings. Among them, the golden potion was also one of the products sold by this company. Because this Black Bear Corporation seemed to be relatively famous and large, there wouldn't be any fakes. Therefore, after many comparisons, Xiaoping chose to go to the Black Bear Corporation to buy. He followed the map and walked for 2 or 3 kilometers. He found that the surrounding high-rise buildings were very shabby. They didn't even have windows, and when he got closer they looked like unfinished buildings. The first floor seemed to be occupied by many poor people, their bodies as thin as skeletons. There were dangerous people everywhere. Moreover, the terrain here seemed to be very complicated. Buildings were leaning against each other, and there were alleys everywhere. Even though it was daytime, because there were too many buildings leaning against each other, they blocked the sunlight, making the alleys very dark. Is the Black Bear Corporation really in this place? Xiaoping walked according to the map, but found that he kept going deeper into the alleys. There didn't seem to be many roads around. Even the signs of human habitation had become sparse. Gradually, not many people came to this place. Oh no, I really went the wrong way. Looking at the map, Xiaoping had a strange expression on his face. He found that he had actually arrived at the back door of the Black Bear Corporation, not the front door. No wonder there weren't many people here. Although the map indicated that he had arrived at the Black Bear Corporation's building, in reality, he still needed to go around in a circle to reach the front door. After all, the front door was the place where the Black Bear Corporation sold their goods. It was impossible to enter the back door. Forget it. Looks like I'll have to go back. Just as Xiaoping was about to leave, he suddenly felt the top of his head darken. A whistling sound of wind could be heard. It seemed that an unknown object had fallen from the Black Bear Corporation's 40 to 50-story building, directly smashing into his head. Bastard, who the hell threw something in the air? He felt a burst of anger in his heart. He felt that the person who casually threw something had no sense of civility. However, he quickly adjusted his mentality, operated the qi in his body, and punched towards the unknown object. Tiger Fist, fierce tiger out of the cage. Since the battle with Xiong Badian, Xiaoping had also been training hard. He constantly practiced the pure yang immortal art, absorbing the essence of the sun to strengthen his own cultivation. He already had a deeper understanding of the five forms fist, and when he used it, it was like nature itself. The power of this punch was even more terrifying than when he fought with Xiong Badian. This punch was like the roar of several fierce tigers. The momentum was astonishing and it tore through the air. Even someone at the fifth heavenly layer of martial disciple would die on the spot when facing this punch. Boom! This punch ruthlessly hit the unknown object, and it was blasted more than 10 meters away on the spot. A powerful force burst out, like a fierce tiger biting, tearing everything apart. However, the unknown object suddenly let out a scream. With a few cracking sounds, the sound of several ribs breaking could be heard. Such a sound was very clear in this quiet and dark alley. What? Hearing this sound, Xiaoping was also taken aback. This unknown object actually made a sound. Could it be that it wasn't something but a human? Chapter 24. In the darkness, Xiaoping looked over. This unknown object turned out to be a middle-aged man. His body was covered in blood and injuries were everywhere. His chest was heaving up and down, as if he had suffered a serious injury. His breathing was weak. However, from his fierce and cruel eyes, Xiaoping could tell that this middle-aged man was definitely not dead, and he was extremely dangerous, like a beast on the verge of death. He fell from 40 to 50 floors and even took a punch from me, yet he's still not dead? This person is definitely an expert. Xiaoping's pupils shrank, and he subconsciously took a few steps away from this middle-aged man, maintaining a certain distance. The middle-aged man stared at Xiaoping, his eyes revealing a glimmer of light. I didn't think that the Black Bear Company would also arrange an ambush at the back door. It's really amazing. But did they think that sending a little fourth-layer martial disciple like you would be able to kill me? That's simply a dream. Brat, although I have no enmity with you, blocking my way, you must die. Boom! As soon as his voice fell, he suddenly attacked with a palm. High-level martial technique, heart destruction palm. In an instant, Xiaoping could feel the terror of this middle-aged man's attack. Its power was countless times more terrifying than Xiong Badian's. It was vicious, and a violent airflow crushed over, as if each wave of airflow was enough to tear his body to pieces. Even that terrifying blood-red murderous aura directly impacted the soul, suffocating and causing one's liver to crack. Ordinary people wouldn't even be able to move under this palm and would be killed in one hit. Die! Xiaoping roared. In the face of such a life-and-death crisis, his entire body tensed up. His five forms fist had already been cultivated to the acme of perfection, and he could easily twist his moves. Dragon Fist, Golden Dragon Claws. His palm turned into a claw, and his fingers were like an eagle's fiercely clawing out. Behind his body, a faint dragon's roar could be heard, and dozens of condensed airflows attacked, incomparably violent. This move was even more terrifying than the Tiger Fist. This was already Xiaoping's most powerful move, and it tore through everything. Even the ground had traces of airflow, and the earth was split apart. Bang bang bang. The fist and the palm collided, and the two powerful forces collided with each other. It was extremely tyrannical, and the force exploded, making an explosive sound, and the sound waves rolled. With a bang, Xiaoping retreated more than 10 steps, feeling his blood and qi churning. The middle-aged man only took a step back, but his expression was one of shock. How is this possible? Although the power of my heart-destroying palm is not even a tenth of its original power, it is still not something a little martial disciple like you can resist. So that's how it is. You've cultivated the 5-form fist and have already reached the acme of perfection. No wonder you can display such a terrifying might. The power of the 5-form fist is no less than a high-ranked martial technique. Amazing to be able to do this at such a young age, truly amazing. You can also be considered a genius, but you should never have become a lackey of the Black Bear Corporation. Today you must die. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly took out a silver object from his body. Damn it! Xiaoping immediately saw that it was a laser gun. Once the trigger was pulled, the laser could instantly penetrate a meter-thick rock. Needless to say, ordinary people would die without a doubt. A chill instantly rose from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. If the other party really took out the laser gun, then he would be dead. There was no hope of survival. After all, how could a human be faster than a laser? Snake fist spirit snake drilling hole. In an instant, his nerves were stretched to the extreme. In the moment when he was on the verge of death, his soul was in an ethereal state, as if the whole world had slowed down. His thoughts were at least 10 times faster than before, so fast that sparks were flashing in his mind. Xiaoping felt that his current strength was unprecedentedly sensitive and powerful. Whoosh! Xiaoping's body flickered, turning into a snake. His movement was extremely fast, like lightning. In an instant, he crossed a distance of several meters and approached the middle-aged man. What? The middle-aged man looked at Xiaoping in disbelief. How could this kid's speed be so fast? He was clearly a martial disciple at the 4th layer, so how could he get close to his body in an instant? And he had no way to detect him. Snake fist viper catches the rabbit. Xiaoping's right hand turned into a snake. Its speed was incomparably fast, vicious, and sinister. Its trajectory was natural, like an antelope hanging its horn, untraceable. In an instant, it exploded towards the middle-aged man's chest. With a bang, his right hand was like a bullet. In an instant, it pierced through the middle-aged man's chest. His heart was also punctured, and the flesh and blood inside exploded. Ugh, the middle-aged man's eyes widened, looking at Xiaoping in disbelief. He didn't think that he would be killed by a little martial disciple at the 4th layer, and his heart was pierced through. With a paw, his body slowly fell to the ground, splashing dust. Boom! Xiaoping operated the qi in his body, operating the pure yang immortal art. A scorching hot energy instantly spread around, dispersing the fatigue and negative emotions on his body, even burning them to nothing. It was obviously his first time killing someone, but he didn't feel anything at all. He was like a robot, calm and composed. This should be the effect of the pure yang immortal art. This top-notch cultivation technique had already penetrated into his bones. As long as he revealed even the slightest bit of negative emotions, the flames in his body would immediately burn these emotions away. Although I've long known that Black Moon City is an extremely dangerous city, where the underworld runs rampant and death and slaughter are everywhere, I didn't expect to encounter a battle of life and death as soon as I entered. Xiaoping immediately took a deep breath, calming the fatigue in his body. This battle of life and death just now almost consumed most of his energy. If there was even a moment of negligence, it was estimated that he would die in this place. He looked at the middle-aged man on the ground and couldn't help but feel surprised. This man's chest had more than a dozen scars that could see the bones, and even who knew how many bones were broken. He was seriously injured and on the verge of death. But even so, he still had the ability to kill him. One could imagine how terrifying this man would be if he was at his peak. It was completely unimaginable. Wait, what are these things? Xiaoping stepped forward and immediately saw that there seemed to be a black bag behind the middle-aged man, bulging as if it contained something. He took it down and felt that it was quite heavy. But before Xiaoping opened it to take a look, there was a scream in the distance. Hurry up and catch up. That guy is definitely not dead. He actually dared to betray my Black Bear Corporation. We must capture him and dismember his body into 10,000 pieces. Let the traitor know the methods of my Black Bear Corporation. Damn, now we're in big trouble. Xiaoping immediately knew that he had caused a huge trouble. Obviously, this middle-aged man had done something, robbed something, offended the Black Bear Corporation, and was being chased by countless experts, ending up on the verge of death. Now that he had killed this middle-aged man and obtained the bag on him, if those people from the Black Bear Corporation found out, how could he still have his life? I must escape. Xiaoping made a prompt decision. Although he was now an 18-year-old youth after awakening his memories, his methods had become very experienced and decisive, absolutely not sloppy. Chapter 25. Less than 5 minutes after Xiaoping left, 2 or 3 figures immediately appeared from the dark alley. The leader was a tall middle-aged man dressed in black, with muscles all over his body. He was incomparably strong and exuded a powerful aura, showing his unfathomable martial arts cultivation base. Boss, look, this guy is already dead. A hook-nosed man next to him saw a corpse lying on the ground, and his pupils suddenly shrank, seemingly very shocked. What? The black-clothed middle-aged man's expression changed. What happened? According to his strength, even if he was besieged by us and seriously injured, it is impossible for him to die so easily. There is a bloody hole in his chest. It should have been pierced by someone with bare hands. The hook-nosed man looked at the corpse. A third party appeared in this alley and killed him. He did not expect that such a thing would happen, and that there was actually a third party appearing. Where is the thing on his body? The black-clothed middle-aged man hurriedly asked. The hook-nosed man looked at it and said helplessly, "It's gone, probably taken away." Damn it! The black-clothed middle-aged man's expression immediately darkened, and he said angrily, "Immediately notify the people of the Black Bear Corporation to completely seal off the surrounding 100 miles, and chase down all suspicious people. Once you find clues about the target, I allow you to kill them regardless of life or death. I only want to see those things come back, otherwise you will bring your head back to see me." He was bursting with anger, and his body exuded a terrible murderous aura. His aura fluctuated, and the cement floor under his feet actually cracked, making a kacha-kacha sound. "Yes, boss," the 2 subordinates shouted. The area where the Black Bear Corporation was located was a ruin in Black Moon City. Here stood abandoned buildings, countless dilapidated high-rise buildings, row upon row. The roads were very complicated. There were gravel and paper scraps everywhere. There were deep pits in the ground, and the environment was very chaotic. It was said that this area, during the Great Cataclysm, was attacked by a large number of monsters, and the people who lived here fled. As a result, this place became ruins, and the buildings were destroyed everywhere. Even though these monsters were later driven out, but this place did not become prosperous. Instead, it was used as a gathering place for gangsters, and the miasma was foul, and the people were complicated. Moreover, this area was also very large, at least 200 kilometers in diameter, and could be considered a huge maze. Without a map, it was very easy to get lost in this place. At this time, after fleeing from the Black Bear Corporation for half an hour, Xiaoping ran 20 kilometers in one breath, and came to the first floor of an abandoned building, which could be considered as a temporary relief. Damn! I'm really unlucky this time. I didn't expect something like this to happen. Xiaoping was helpless. Now that I've killed someone near the Black Bear Corporation, how am I supposed to buy the golden potion? Do I have to buy it from another company? He knew very well that he had killed the strange middle-aged man and taken the mysterious package. It could be said that he had completely provoked the Black Bear Corporation. Once he returned to the Black Bear Corporation again, the outcome could be imagined. Even if no one saw his appearance at that time, he did not dare to take this risk. However, just what did that mysterious middle-aged man take to actually provoke so many top-notch experts to chase after him? He even angered an underworld organization like the Black Bear Corporation. What? Xia and Aeneas said black, and Ping suddenly read. Just now there seemed to be footsteps coming from the building. Let's go take a look. Hey, there seems to be footsteps coming from the building. Let's go take a look. What? Xiaoping instinctively felt that something was wrong and immediately hid in the corner, just in time to block the view from outside the alley. He heard the sound of hurried footsteps coming in his direction. It can't be so coincidental, right? Are these people looking for me? His eyes flashed. With a few whooshes, 2 or 3 men appeared at the entrance of the building, all wearing small red vests. Each of them had the strength of the 4th layer of martial disciple, and their bodies exuded a bloody murderous aura. Their eyes were very fierce, and there were knife scars on their faces and tattoos on their shoulders. At a glance, it was obvious that these were definitely not good people, and it was very likely that they had killed people. The 3 appeared on the 1st floor of the building, looking around vigilantly. Strange, I clearly heard a sound just now. Why is it gone now? A man's eyes flashed, and his face showed a look of doubt. Another man said, maybe it was a cat. You misunderstood. This is an abandoned place. How could there be people here? If it's up to you, let's go search elsewhere. Shut up. The 3rd man said in a deep voice. You also know that the members of the Black Bear Company have been ordered to investigate any suspicious people who enter Black Moon City. All strangers who appear in our territory need to be carefully examined. Once the target is found, immediately kill on the spot, and absolutely do not show mercy. Indeed, the boss has already spoken, and the members of the entire territory have been mobilized, forming a tight encirclement in this area. Not even a drop of water can leak through. If we dare to be negligent, we will definitely be punished by the boss, and even if we don't die, we will lose a layer of skin. A man's eyes were very frightened, as if he was very afraid. I also don't know who has the courage to actually dare to steal from our Black Bear Company. This is the road to their own death. Another man sneered. It won't take long for that guy to be found and torn apart. No one can cause trouble in our Black Bear Company's territory. No, there is indeed something wrong here. The 3rd man's eyes were very sharp, staring at the marks on the ground. Look at this floor. No one has come in here for a long time. There is dust everywhere, and there are actually footprints here other than ours. Someone must have just come in. Oh no. Xiaoping's expression changed. He was in too much of a hurry to dodge just now, and forgot to remove his own traces, only to see that the 3 people have already followed the footprints, slowly walking over, eyes revealing a fierce light, killing intent filling the air. There is no other way. Since their whereabouts have been discovered by the other party, they can only kill. Boom! In the blink of an eye, just as the 3 people were 2 to 3 meters away from the corner, Xiaoping suddenly jumped out from the corner like a cheetah, full of explosive power, and blasted out a punch. Leopard fist cheetah chain. This punch is incomparably fast. The angle is crafty, incomparably ruthless, tearing through the air, bringing with it a whistling gale, with an extremely terrifying attack power in an instant. And how could these 3 people think that the enemy's speed is so fast, and the 2 sides are only 2 to 3 meters apart? How can they still block? Bang bang bang. In an instant, 3 muffled sounds rang out in the air. The terrifying fist fiercely smashed into the chest of these 3 men, on the spot collapsing the chest of 2 Chinese characters, bones breaking, heart bursting. Damn it! There is another person with tenacious vitality, after receiving this blow, actually took out a sharp knife on his body, and wanted to stab towards Xiaoping's abdomen, extremely ruthless. Die! How could Xiaoping give him such a chance? In an instant he arrived in front of this person, grabbed this person, and with a crack forcibly twisted his neck. Chapter 26. After killing 3 people in a row, Xiaoping felt the blood in his body boiling. He looked at the death of these 3 people without the slightest pity. He was in a life and death crisis just now. If they didn't die, then he would die. How could he have held back? This is a laser gun? Xiaoping turned over the 3 bodies and immediately found a 15-centimeter-long silver laser gun and 2 titanium alloy knives. They were extremely sharp and were definitely murder weapons. Fortunately, he had killed these 3 people in time. Otherwise, if they took out their laser guns, he would be dead. He would not underestimate the ferocity of these underworld people. However, they actually mobilized the entire Black Bear Company to find me, issued an order to kill, and even surrounded the area of 100 miles, mobilized a large number of people. What did that guy do to actually cause the Black Bear Company to be so enraged? Xiaoping didn't expect that he would kill that person and seize the package. The situation was more serious than he had imagined. With a snap, he immediately opened the package. Immediately, there was a medicine filled with a golden liquid, emitting a dazzling light. In addition, there was a secret book, the cover of which seemed to be written Heaven and Earth Audiovisual Technique. No way, this is a golden medicine, and there are a total of 20. Seeing these medicine of his dreams, not only did Xiaoping not rejoice, but the corner of his mouth twitched because he could think of the seriousness of this matter. This was a golden medicine worth 10 million federal coins. Could it be that these golden medicines were stolen from the Black Bear Company by the mysterious middle-aged man just now? But even so, the people of the Black Bear Company could not have gone crazy and mobilized countless members to block the area within 100 miles. After all, although the loss of 10 million federal coins was great, it was not a serious injury. This secret book seems to be very extraordinary. He stared at the secret book and flipped through it. It described a special martial art that used a unique breathing technique to let people reach a meditative state, break the Baihui acupoint, and produce spiritual power. Once this spiritual power was released, one could easily perceive the wind and grass within a radius of several miles. Even if an ant was crawling on the ground, one could hear it clearly. How is this possible? This secret technique can actually break through the Baihui acupoint in advance and produce mysterious mental energy. Xiaoping's body trembled and his breathing quickened. He immediately knew how precious this secret technique was. One must know that in the 9 heavens of martial disciple, one was stronger than the other, but there was no way to produce spiritual power. Only by breaking through the 9 heavens of martial disciple and advancing to the martial warrior realm could this mysterious power be produced. But now, this secret technique could actually be used in the martial disciple realm. One could imagine how precious this secret technique was. This was probably the most important reason why the Black Bear Corporation had gone crazy. No wonder that group of underworld figures went crazy and sealed off 100 miles. Just this secret manual alone is worth at least hundreds of millions of federal coins, and even if you have money, you might not be able to buy it. This is a true secret. Xiaoping's eyes flickered with excitement. However, it seemed that not everyone could cultivate this secret technique. It was stated below that only those with mental strength that far surpassed ordinary people were qualified to cultivate it. Otherwise, even if ordinary people obtained it, it would be useless. Powerful mental strength? My mental strength should be stronger than an ordinary person's, so I should be able to cultivate this secret technique. Xiaoping remembered that he had 2 souls fused, and quantitative changes led to qualitative changes. In terms of mental strength alone, he was definitely talented. Pa pa pa. Suddenly, there was a burst of rapid footsteps outside. It seemed that someone was coming from afar. Oh no, I forgot that this is the territory of the Black Bear Corporation. They have countless members and their eyes are everywhere. I must hide in a safe place. If it is really unavoidable, then I will kill without mercy. Xiaoping's figure flashed, his eyes revealing a murderous intent, and soon left the abandoned building. A middle-aged man dressed in black stood on top of a building that was more than 100 stories tall. The wind howled, causing his clothes to flutter, but he remained unmoving like a rock. Nothing could shake him. He was a director of the Black Bear Corporation named Zheng Cheng. Originally, through a secret channel, their company spent hundreds of millions of federal dollars, many people were killed and injured, and they suffered heavy losses. Finally, they obtained a secret technique from a certain Yanhuang star relic. This secret technique was the Heaven and Earth Audiovisual Technique. However, unexpectedly, at the critical moment, a strong martial artist in their company suddenly betrayed them and stole 20 bottles of golden potions and the secret technique from the company, trying to sneak away. As a result, Zheng Cheng found out and immediately gathered countless masters in the company to besiege the traitor. Even if the traitor was extraordinary, Zheng Cheng was stronger, reaching the realm of the 9th heaven of martial artist, and he had a large number of helpers. In the end, many people were killed and injured. Later, they still seriously injured the traitor and fell from the sky. Although the price was very heavy, Zheng Cheng did not regret it at all. He thought it was all worth it because this Heaven and Earth audiovisual technique was too precious. Its value far exceeded 100 million federal dollars. What did it mean to be able to cultivate mental strength in the martial artist realm? It meant that one could break through the bottleneck of the martial artist realm in advance, and possess the power of the martial artist realm in advance. This was a huge advantage. Once this heaven and earth audiovisual technique was successfully cultivated, it meant that there was no bottleneck between the martial artist realm and the martial artist realm. After reaching the 9th heaven of martial artist, one could naturally enter the martial artist realm. It was completely conceivable that if their Black Bear Corporation could obtain this secret technique, there would be a steady stream of powerful martial artists. In the future, even if they dominated the entire Black Moon City, it was not impossible. Even Zheng Cheng could use this secret technique to break through the bottleneck of many years and advance to the martial artist realm, becoming a true master. The martial artist realm. Zheng Cheng's eyes revealed a fiery light. For a true martial artists were just children. They were not adults at all. Only the martial artist realm was a true master. Once one reached the martial artist realm, they could release their true chi and kill people in the air. Using the 100 Steps Divine Fist, one punch from 100 meters away, the vibration of true chi could shatter a boulder. Only when one reached the martial artist realm would they be qualified to leave the city and go out to hunt monsters and fight against tyrannical enemies. As long as one did not advance to the martial artist realm, they were just ants. Zheng Cheng's eyes revealed a fierce light and he clenched his fists. In order to advance to the martial artist realm, he must obtain the secret technique, Heaven and Earth Audiovisual Technique. Whoever dared to stop him must die. Director Zheng. Suddenly, a young man at the 5th heaven of martial artists quickly ran over from the distance. He was one of Zheng Cheng's elite subordinates. His name was Song Hui. Chapter 27. Hearing the voice, Zheng Cheng didn't turn his head and stood with his hands behind his back. Say, what's the news? Reporting to Director Zheng, Song Hui immediately said, we haven't found the target for the time being, but someone came to report that we lost 5 or 6 people, all masters of the 4th heaven of the martial disciple realm, and they were killed in one blow. What? Zheng Cheng frowned. Killed in one blow? Tell me in detail. Song Hui thought for a moment and said, the places where those people died were abandoned buildings, remote alleys, etc. They were all caught off guard and were attacked. One punch shattered their hearts, shattered their lungs, and some even broke their necks. From this point, it can be seen that the other party's combat effectiveness is extremely strong, experienced, ruthless, and scheming, but I estimate that his strength does not exceed the 5th heaven of the martial disciple, otherwise he would not sneak attack. He immediately inferred a lot of conclusions from some clues. Indeed, I can see it. Judging from the wound of the traitor he killed, the power of the attack is very strong, but the cultivation is not high. The 5th heaven of the martial disciple is the top. Zheng Cheng's eyes showed a glimmer of light, but that guy is experienced and his fighting skills are strong, but he can't be underestimated. We must send out a master of the 6th heaven of the martial disciple to deal with him. But the company also needs to guard against the sneak attacks of other gangs, protect the company's property, and can't send out too many strong people. Let's call Zheng Hua over, let him find the enemy, and kill him on the spot. What, Zheng Hua? When Song Hui heard this, his eyes flickered. This Zheng Hua was no one else, it was Zheng Cheng's biological son. He was only 18 years old, but he had the cultivation of the 6th heaven of the martial disciple realm. He was considered a genius of the Black Bear Company, and at a young age, he had already mixed in the underworld and had a lot of fighting experience. Could be said that he was very powerful. But this Zheng Hua was Zheng Cheng's son after all, and the only son. If the other party had any accidents in the process of hunting, he was afraid that he could not bear this responsibility. Director Zheng, this matter is very dangerous, and the other party is a desperado. I'm afraid it's not appropriate. Song Hui's eyes flickered, and he couldn't help but remind. Zheng Cheng waved his hand. Don't worry, a mere martial artist of the 5th heavenly layer. How can he do anything to my son? Even if he can't beat the other party, he can still escape. Moreover, there are still a few months before he will apply for university. With his current strength, it is more or less a little insecure. I hope that he can gain a little more combat experience so that his chances of getting into a first-class university will be a little higher. Yes, Director Zheng. Since he had already said so, Song Hui had no reason to refuse and immediately went to do it. At night, in an abandoned warehouse in Black Moon City, the surroundings were desolate and uninhabited. Xiaoping was hiding in a remote room in the warehouse. It was very well hidden, and no one could find him. In order to avoid the pursuit of the Black Bear Corporation, he constantly broke out of the encirclement, and then beheaded another 5 or 6 gangsters, but also suffered some injuries. Finally, he broke out of the encirclement and came to this warehouse to rest temporarily. But after so many fierce battles, he more or less felt tired. Moreover, he hadn't eaten much until now. He was simply hungry and cold. No, if this continues, Xiaoping will definitely die a violent death. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He didn't expect that this group of gangsters would be so fierce and ruthless, and all of them were desperados. Even if they saw their companions die, they didn't even frown. Instead, they attacked fiercely. A moment of carelessness, one of the murderers slashed him with a knife. Of course, he also slapped the other party's head into pieces with a backhand palm, beating him until he bled from his 7 orifices. But no matter what, he also suffered some injuries, and his combat effectiveness was also weakened a little. Although it's a little dangerous, but I still take the golden potion and advance to the realm of martial disciple. Xiaoping's eyes flickered, and he finally made up his mind. According to his current strength, if he continued like this, it would be a dead end. With a snap, he opened the package on his body and took out a golden potion. Gulu gulu. Xiaoping didn't say anything and swallowed the bottle of golden potion. Immediately, he felt a lava-like energy enter his body, then merge into his blood, and flow in countless blood vessels. His heart was beating like a drum, his blood vessels surged, his muscles swelled, and there seemed to be lava flowing in his body, as if it was about to explode. It's too violent. He finally understood why the golden potion could only be taken by people at least at the 7th heaven of martial disciple. Because this potion is too violent, ordinary people will explode in an instant and die. Xiaoping felt that after this golden potion entered his body, the golden liquid, the violent energy flowed wildly, too violent, and his heart, blood vessels, and even his head seemed to be about to explode. Pure Yang immortal art. With a bang, he immediately ran this mental cultivation method and put on the posture of the 5 hearts facing the sky. The huge true qi in his body flowed, and immediately his dantian seemed to turn into a furnace. This violent golden energy flowing in his body seemed to be attracted by a mysterious force, pouring into the interior of the dantian, and then through the furnace refining, purification and removal of impurities, the violent medicinal power was completely eliminated, leaving only the purest and mildest energy, and then poured into countless meridians. As expected of the pure Yang immortal art, it's too powerful. Xiaoping sighed. Sure enough, after such a circulation of true qi, this violent energy, like a tamed wild wolf, became extremely docile. In fact, this is also normal. The pure Yang immortal art, a top cultivation method, can even easily refine violent energy like the essence of the sun. A trivial golden potion is nothing at all. He felt this gentle energy pouring into his body, and every cell in his body seemed to be cheering, like a greedy taotai, constantly absorbing this energy, growing and evolving. Boom! After an unknown amount of time, when this energy reached the extreme, a meridian was instantly connected, and Xiaoping immediately felt that the true qi in his body was a lot stronger. Even at this moment, his muscles, meridians, bones, and skin were greatly strengthened, and the original scars also rapidly shrank. The injuries recovered, as if he had been transformed. A huge amount of true qi flowed around his body like a rushing river, crashing, and a huge airflow shook around his body, cleaning away the dust around him. Success! Promoted to the 5th heaven of martial disciple. Xiaoping clenched his fists, his eyes showing a glimmer of light, and his heart surged with endless joy. He finally connected the 5th meridian, promoted to the 5th heaven of martial disciple, and the true qi in his body was more than half stronger than before. With a bang, he couldn't help but punch, and immediately there was a burst of air in the air. His muscles passed inch by inch like a tiger or a bear, and the power was terrifying. Chapter 28. Too strong. My current strength is even stronger than Xiong Beishan's. With a crack, Xiaoping randomly picked up a hard stone on the ground. He grabbed it hard and it immediately shattered. After squeezing a few more times, it actually turned into stone chips and flowed out from between his fingers. He also felt that his physique was unprecedentedly strong. After the tempering of the pure yang immortal art and the assistance of the golden potion, the surface of his body seemed to have a layer of golden light, like a diamond. In fact, the martial disciple realm was the realm of tempering the body. The stronger the body in this realm, the better it would be for the future, and the greater the potential. I finally reached the 5th layer of martial disciple. Such a result is considered excellent even in school. Xiaoping clenched his fists, making crackling sounds as if he was squeezing the air. Before, Xiong was only at the 5th layer of martial disciple, and that was enough to dominate the school. People like Zhou Tai and who was at the 6th layer of martial disciple, were even more of a genius, enough to enter the top 10 of the school. According to Xiaoping's strength, if he met someone at the 4th layer of martial disciple, he could easily defeat someone at the 5th layer of martial disciple. Even someone at the 6th layer of martial disciple might not be his opponent. Among the gangsters surrounding him, there didn't seem to be many people at the 6th layer of martial disciple. Maybe he could finally get rid of those people, go to the station, and return to Tianshui City. But it's not safe. After all, those gangsters also have laser guns. If I encounter a group of people, it will be very dangerous. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. His heart was calm. Even though his strength had improved, he was not arrogant. Oh right, it seems that I also obtained a secret book called the Heaven and Earth Audiovisual Technique. If I can learn this secret book, maybe I can increase my strength. Thinking of this, he immediately opened the secret book and carefully read it, constantly trying to figure it out, using a unique breathing technique to meditate, and then breaking the Bai Hui acupoint to produce mysterious spiritual power. Interesting, I don't know if I can do it? Xiaoping immediately closed his eyes. His breathing calmed down, and he began to breathe according to the secret breathing technique. 3 long breaths and 1 short breath. His chest rose and fell rhythmically, and there was a faint strange fluctuation in the surrounding air. In just a minute, he discovered that the entire world had changed. He felt as if he had entered a meditative state, and his spirit was one with heaven and earth. As he entered a meditative state, the soul strength in his mind began to move, forming a huge whirlpool that rumbled and shook. Even the air was affected by the ripples, emitting buzzing sounds. When this power reached its peak, a bang rang out and the Bai Hui acupoint on the top of his head seemed to have been easily broken by this mysterious soul power, causing a small crack to appear. Wisps of gray mist flowed out of this crack and floated in the depths of his mind. Immediately, Xiaoping felt a mysterious power being born in the depths of his body. This is the legendary mental strength? Xiaoping closed his eyes. As this power slowly extended outwards, he felt as if the entire world had brightened up. Within a radius of 20 meters, the ground, dust, mud, gravel, paper, and even the ants crawling on the ground, the mosquitoes flying in the air, and the water droplets falling from afar were all clearly sensed by him. It was as if he was looking from God's perspective. No, this is unbelievable. This is spiritual power? I did it. I actually succeeded in cultivating it. Xiaoping was inexplicably surprised. He had only wanted to give it a try, but he did not expect to succeed so quickly. He could feel that the effects of spiritual power were too great. Even with his eyes closed, he could clearly see his surroundings. Within the coverage of spiritual power, he was simply a god, omniscient and omnipotent. Of course, this was just an illusion, but it could not hide the strength of this spiritual power. This feeling. Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. It seemed to be an instinct of his body. With a smack, he gently stretched out his right hand, and a fly that was flying around was gently caught between 2 of his fingers, unable to move. Then he gently let go, and the fly seemed to be frightened and quickly flew away. Legend has it that the powerhouses of the martial warrior realm are extremely powerful. They can dodge laser guns and even missiles can't lock onto them. This is simply beyond the limits of the human nervous system's reaction speed. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. I was still wondering how he could do this. If he had spiritual power, everything would be possible. It was no wonder that the Black Bear Corporation was so desperate to snatch this secret technique back. This secret technique was far too important. It was far from what an ordinary secret technique could compare to. However, Not everyone can successfully cultivate this secret technique, Shuang said with a frown. Now Xiaping also knew why he could cultivate it so easily. There was no other reason but because his spiritual power was strong, at least 10 times more than ordinary people. This secret technique was a supreme treasure for people with a strong soul, and they could succeed in cultivating it casually. But if it was an ordinary person, even if they obtained this secret technique, they could only stare. Even if one successfully entered a meditative state, ordinary soul power would not be able to break the Baihui acupoint. Only a person with a powerful soul like Xiaping could easily break the acupoint, as though it was a rotten wood. Well, it seems that someone is coming? At this time the sky outside was already bright. Unconsciously, he had already cultivated for a night. Xiaping's heart moved, and his eyes and ears were sharp, and he immediately noticed that someone was coming outside the warehouse. However, he was not worried. After taking the golden potion, it had already replenished the energy in his body, and his spirit was full. Now that he had advanced to the 5th layer of the martial disciple realm, he had obtained spiritual power. No matter who came, he was not afraid. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, there seemed to be 7 or 8 strong men dressed in black outside the warehouse. One of them was a young man dressed in white, and his face was young, but he was the leader of this group. The young man in white looked arrogant, looking at one of the short men in black. Are you sure someone is hiding in this warehouse? If you dare to lie to me, do you know what the consequences will be? Young Master Zheng, of course I can be sure. The short man in black hurriedly said. Yesterday I observed for a night, and found that there were bursts of strange sounds coming from here from time to time. There is definitely someone inside. Originally, no one would appear here, but last night it appeared, so I suspect that the person hiding inside is likely to be the person being chased by the Black Bear Company, so I came to report. If there is even half a lie, the heavens will strike me with lightning. He swore to the heavens. Very good. If you really find the murderer, you will have done a great service, and will be heavily rewarded. The young man in white also knew how to control his subordinates, giving a sweet date after a slap. Thank you, young Master Zheng. The short man in black was immediately overjoyed, but before he could say anything else, there was a whoosh, and a stone flew out of the warehouse window extremely fast, tearing through the air like a sniper bullet. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.